There goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. We're just about to start a brand new, thrilling, exciting, Passover-friendly edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. And what's going to be on the show? We got Julie Budd coming back to the Daverhood, the singer, the songstress. She was here about 3.5 years ago. She's back because she's going to be doing her first series of concerts in New York in the last few years. She'll be talking to the one and only and Jewish Rabbi Sol. We'll have Greeley Crimes Old Times. We have a monster inside Broadway segment to do for you. We do have a tiny little Limerick, so we have that balance there of the giant inside Broadway and the small little poem, and also Rabbi Sol joining us for StoryTime. So keep it right here as we begin the 694th edition of the Dave's Gone By, Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Well, there goes, as I previously said, the Daverhood. And welcome on this Saturday, April 27th, 2019, to the 694th edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who will be joining us in a couple of minutes, and all of you guys, all these folks who are giving me thumbs up. I love it. I already got a thumbs up, and it's when I mentioned my wife, so thank you so much. And welcome to Daniel and, of course, Tony. And we have, Alan says matzah. He's wishing us a Zisen Pesach, which means very, very happy holiday. And yes, I dig. I've been living off these things, these shmura matzahs, ladies and gentlemen, because there's something about them. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I prefer the true cardboard, rather than the corrugated factory manufactured cardboard, because it's all cardboard. It's all flour, water, boom, flat. It doesn't rise. And technically Jews in America or wherever, I mean, we could have pita bread. You know, we could have that South African lavash, or whatever where do they have that on? You know, that spongy bread in the African.
I don't know, Ethiopia?
Yes. You know, where it soaks up all the juices of the meats, and it's all spongy. You feel like you want to take a nap on it after you eat it, because it's all spongy and warm. But that doesn't rise either. There's no leaven.
When's the last time you've taken a bread nap?
I need a bread nap. I want a bread nap now. I want to take like a loaf of Wonder Bread and just put it under the back of my head. I can't eat it. I know. There's still a few hours of hummus, even though I cheat all over the place except in the house.
You cheat all over. What is that? What?
No, I meant
what?
I meant food-wise, darling.
What's that?
That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, by the way.
You're watching too much of rape.
But yeah, there's something about it.
Should I stand up so you can look how high the remote is?
Oh, I put that for our mouth. It catches us both ways. We're good. But see, this is not like the typical, even though this box is square, the matzah's inside it.
Ooh.
It's because you would like this. You like that infinity and number 8 sort of thing. They're round.
I like yummy.
This is plastic because Jews, you can't have a sofa or food unless it's already it's wrapped in plastic. But there's something about it because it is kind of homemade. It's just a bunch of sweaty rabbis.
They're not rabbis. They're probably kids or like rabbinical students. You're not getting like a big rebbe doing it.
Yeah, I guess not.
They're probably just there's some Israeli people that bring in from like another place. Some, migrants, they don't pay them anything.
That's right. It's like if they want to build a wall in Israel to keep out, but those are the people who are making the matzahs.
It's a sweatshop.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can taste the sweat on the matzah.
You can taste the non-hand washing.
The body odor of people on it, as opposed to the Manischewitz, the Strites, the Horowitz margarine. Yeah, now, I want something that really feels like a human being took some dough, worked it over.
Well, that's what would have happened in the desert. If you were in the desert making bread, you wouldn't have had like a Manischewitz factory cranking out all kind of crappy.
But you know what? I would bet if you're in the desert making bread, some of that bread actually rose. Because some wouldn't. But it's not like they spent time poking holes in it.
If you put it on a good rock.
What, sorry?
If you put it on a good rock, it would.
It would what? It would rise. I mean, they didn't have yeast. Didn't they have time for yeast? I don't get that.
If I was in the desert, I'd bring my nutritional yeast. I have my own knapsack.
No, but my good friend, Fast Eddie, who has been on this program. Eddie, I'm not going to say last names, but he's a friend of the Daverhood.
Fast.
That's his nickname, Fast Eddie. He calls himself that.
Is he fast? Like he's fast?
Probably was as a youngster.
You mean like
he's still
naughty?
Good.
Naughty?
Probably was as a youngster. But he sent me some Passover cartoons, and there was one about, I think it was from this, yeah.
Does he walk fast?
In New York, we all walk fast.
Not you. Does he
talk fast? Yeah, he does.
Talks fast?
Yeah.
Is it not the Ed the Critic?
Yes.
Oh, I love him.
I know.
He wears Converse. He's just super cool.
He is cool. He's totally cool. And he sent me some Passover cartoons. And I think this was from him. But it's this idea of Jews in the desert, wandering around, getting the hell out of Egypt, made matzah, flatbread, because they couldn't wait for the dough to rise. Mm-hmm. And yet somehow they'd had time to eat kosher and slaughter animals.
Wow.
It's like they could make a steak. But they didn't have time for to let the bread rise for a minute.
Just take the cow with you. It's all symbolic.
You know. Oh, I know. The Jews, after about the third year in the desert, they were figuring out ways to make quiche. I'll bet.
I think that little coffee shops, they had,
the great,
what do you call pop-up stores, or just, sell stuff.
They even had the great post-Egyptian baking show there.
Wow.
Yeah, and they can make cakes and everything, and they had a judge.
Desert, yeah. With Mr. Hollywood and the nice old English lady.
Oh, I totally believe it. Like Chateaubriand and on just before Shabbos on Fridays. Yeah. That was the thing, the golden calf, they were going to eat it.
You look very handsome, honey.
Why, thank you. Thank you ever so much. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm here on this Saturday. And so is, Fred from Friendy is here.
Hey, Fred.
And Alan mentions, I talked about the roundness of the matzah, and Alan says, love, infinity, and 8-2 our lucky number.
Yay.
See, me, I'm that whole crazy quilt depressing mix. My number is 5.
I love 5 because of you, but look at like 9. If you look at Jung, it's like 8. It's like the infinite numbers or what.
Yeah. Well, 9 isn't really infinite. It's just like. Yeah.
Well, 9 is like divisible by 3.
9 is a 0 just taking a poop.
Oh,
God. I don't know what.
Was it Eugene O'Neill? Whose house did we go to? And they had nothing.
Yeah.
They had the entrance to the door wasn't straight. It was curved to keep out like quote unquote evil spirits. Like you had a lot of curves, right?
That was it was either Hemingway, but I think it was O'Neill in that house.
Yeah.
So, by the way, also welcome to, who else? I can't see everybody, but Arlene and Daniel and John and Rick and an Alan person I can't go that high up. Rick James. Wow.
Wow, Rick James.
Yeah.
He heard about Fast Ed and he was in.
Well, now this won't work in all this transition, but our guest in the neighborhood is not a super freak, as far as I know.
She's a nice lady.
Yeah, she's a nice lady. In fact, she was so nice that she came on this program back in 2015 to talk to Rabbi Sol Solomon.
What number is this one?
All about her life and all about her career. This is our 694th episode today.
You're going to hit 700.
I know, God willing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But she was here 3.5 years ago when Julie Budd had a new album out. It was called about Sinatra, Sincerely Sinatra, or let me see if I have the. I should probably have studied before I went on the air with this, but it's Remembering Mr. Sinatra is the name of it. Wow. She put that out about 3.5 years ago. Now, Julie Budd is going to be at Birdland next week, May 1st through May 4th.
Why do they call it Birdland?
Well, I think it had to do with Charlie Parker, whose nickname was Bird, and they may have named it after him.
Okay, yeah.
I'm guessing.
I'm going to buy that.
Yeah. They could have called it the Train Store if they named it after Coltrane or drug alley if it was Miles Davis, but they chose
I'm going to beat you. I'm
Birdland.
going to beat you store.
I could be wrong, but maybe Parker took his name from somewhere else, or etc. Could have been called Parkland.
Maybe
They could have a shooting there.
Yeah, but maybe Birdland is because of jazz, like
Except that's post-jazz. That's already early rock.
And that's early rock.
Yeah.
That's Def Leppard.
What? What? I don't know how we got there. That's Fireland.
I'm getting text by my trainer.
Oh, go check your task. Well, I'll tell people. Again, Julie Budd. So she was on the show 3.5 years ago. Now she's going to be at Birdland, and she's back with us talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon in about 20 minutes from now. So more questions about her life, her career, her music. I don't know. I think she told us everything about Sinatra last time that she was in the Daverhood, but maybe there's some more Sinatra stories or more stories of other people that she knew. She had wonderful things to say about Liberace back then, because they were pals.
Did she know he was gay?
I'm imagining.
You think it was like Rock Hudson? They just kept the secret?
Well, with Libby, it was just sort of, yeah. I mean, Rock Hudson had a real image.
Did he live with somebody?
Who? Yeah, Liberace did.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Rock Hudson he was a macho leading actor male on TV.
And it was also, Liberace wore like candelabra.
Yeah, Liberace was in the Paul Lynde mode.
Yeah, that's true.
As opposed to some other guys who were more in...
I got to go down and promote your show in a few minutes. 18 minutes, so let's do some Greeley Crimes Old Times.
Yeah, well,
Did you tell people your alphabet? If anyone can read alphabet.
Well, this is for Passover, so we have...
And show them on the back, it says, I know my alphabet. You get a little sticker.
I
no, okay.
I don't want to ruin this, but yeah.
See, it's right there. It says, ask me about my alphabet.
Ask me about my alphabet. Alphabet is, of course, the Hebrew alphabet. Okay. I wish I had
I thought you were going to take it out and drape it.
Alphabet. It's easy as when you master... No, I don't know.
No.
No, I'm not going to sing that. Definitely not going to sing that. What else? Let's save... Are you free at like 10 o'clock-ish?
Whenever you need.
Yeah, so we'll say Greeley Crimes. Yeah. I will. It's in my pants there. But I want to talk. I want to bitch a little bit because I was having such a great day yesterday. Had a really nice day because I'm out in the evening. It was supposed to be pouring, but it mostly stopped. I go to the theater to see a show.
You want me to invite people after you do your racist rant?
It's not going to be in that direction.
Okay.
What would make you say that I'm going to go on a racist rant?
Because sometimes you do.
Yes, I don't do that on here, ladies and gentlemen. No. Let me tell you something about my day or my evening in New York yesterday. Mm-hmm. Having a fine time. I go to the theater. I get to see All My Sons, the new revival on Broadway featuring
Lear.
Oh, so much better than Lear. I mean, I don't like King Lear to begin with. I think King Lear is maybe the most overrated Shakespeare play there is. He makes two stupid decisions. Everybody thinks it's about these ungrateful daughters, but really he's not listening to reason either. People say that he's such a wonderful king later on, and that they'll follow him to the ends of the earth. Meanwhile, he's an irascible, crazy old man, and it's just endless. And I've never seen a production of King Lear that I liked. And that includes the one on Broadway now. Okay, fine, great. And then last night I saw maybe in many ways the best All My Sons that I've ever seen. It's with Annette Bening and Tracy Letts. And I mean, there are certain small issues with it, but it's a fine, classical production. So went to see that, didn't get poured on. And even if I did, I had those boots that kept my feet dry, stepping through puddles.
I'm going to go invite your people.
I go through New York, Julie Budd will be calling in about 9:30ish.
I'll hold down the fort.
Hold down the fort. Hold that fort down. So everything's going great. Everything's going fine. And I don't even have to use a full 10-trip on my Long Island Railroad card. Because for some reason, I want to get into the whole... Yeah, I do want to kind of get into the whole thing of this. But if you buy the old-fashioned hard copy tickets for the Long Island Railroad that aren't the one-day ones, but that are 10 trips, so they're 10 individual trips, that a conductor's going to punch first when you go from here, from Long Island to Jamaica, Queens, and then there's another conductor who will punch the rest of the ticket the rest of the way from Jamaica to Penn Station, right? So you have two shots of the conductor coming at you, saying, thank you, well, I'll punch your ticket now, thank you. This is not a railroad ticket, by the way. This is part two. Punch in one way, and then he gets you from the rest of the way from Jamaica to Penn Station, the western part of the trip. And it's the same thing going backwards. So in a normal trip, you get two punches, coming part of the way, coming the rest of the way. Fine. That's the way it is, and you're paying top dollar. The price of the railroad just went up again, and you deal with it. And that's what it is. You can't avoid it. You can buy a monthly ticket, but you've really got to calibrate at this point whether a monthly ticket is worth it for you. And it only is if you're going in peak times. If you're not going in peak to the Long Island Railroad, I strongly recommend that you use off-peak 10 trips. It probably will work out better for you financially. If you're a typical commuter coming in the morning, going home during the afternoon rush, yeah, then get a weekly or monthly. Okay. But one of the cool things, if you're lucky, there are times when sometimes it's not so lucky. Sometimes the train is so damn crowded and you're standing around that the conductor can't even get to you on a certain leg of the trip. Or sometimes they miss your car. It's not like you're hiding in the bathroom or something. They just don't come in. And it's all over Newsday the past couple of weeks, how the Long Island Railroad is losing all these fares from fare beaters. And half of them, I'm sure, aren't even fare beaters. Just the railroad conductors don't even get to them. Okay, it makes your day. If you can go part of the trip and they don't get your railroad card, or I should show it, but it's over there, then it's like, hey, free trip for me. Now, it doesn't mean anything if you have a monthly or a weekly pass, because you just paid for that in advance. It's gone. They can get you a million times or 0 times. You can use it as much as you want. It takes the onus off, and that's cool. But if you're paying every single time for a trip to Manhattan, and they miss you, both ways is staggering. That happens once in a blue moon. But they miss you part of the way. One of the things that you can do is just buy another little ticket just for the part that they missed, which is cheaper. So let's say the conductor punches you right in the face. The conductor gets you from, let's say, Cedarhurst to Jamaica. So he's got you. But somehow from Jamaica to New York, he never comes down. He misses you. He's in another car, or it's just too crowded for him to get to you or her to get to you. And then suddenly now you've only got half a ticket used. You can buy at a machine a spare ticket just going from Jamaica to New York, which is about $2 or $3 cheaper. Is it a big deal? I'd rather have $2 or $3 in my pocket than in the Long Island railroads. So yeah, it's a big deal. So yesterday I was able to do that. Can't believe I had all that preamble just to say that I saved like $3 yesterday because they got me one way and I was able to use half a ticket the other way, save some dough. I was feeling good. Went to a show, liked the show very, very much. Great weather in the show. Saw a classic Midtown Manhattan, New York moment where a cab driver, somewhere around 40, almost where the New York Times building is or was in the low 40s. Yeah, I mean, it was still in theater district, like 43rd Street, at an intersection. Cab driver, I believe it was a Sikh, screaming at another cab driver, not just through the window, but he literally parked the car in the middle of the intersection, got out of the car, and then these two men are standing screaming while these cars can't get around them because they're literally blocking 8th Avenue and 43rd Street. Just like, I'm going to stop my cab here to scream at you. And it was a little creepy because you figure if either of them had a gun, we would have been seeing ambulances and gunshots. But you knew the way they were yelling and the craziness of it, that they're just going to scream at each other. It's kind of funny. And how long is traffic going to be backed up for this idiot who is literally in the middle of almost a turn, blocking half the intersection on West 43rd Street? And it's just a great New York moment of rage and hatred, isn't it, folks? Love that. So all of that is going on. Everything's going great. And then I reach in, when I get to why did I do this? Oh, I wanted to check on my MetroCards. Now, MetroCards are not for the Long Island Railroad. As I'm sure you guys know, they're for the subways in New York. So
Your ringer.
Yeah. I don't know where my ringer thing is. I'll just look for the light at right there. Yeah, because this thing lights up. So I check for my MetroCard, and the one I've been using is fine, and it still has a bit of money on it. And then I know I've been carrying an extra spare one. And I put the, thank you. I put the MetroCard in the slot, to see if I want to add more money to it. And it tells me, I cannot add more money to my MetroCard because it's expiring in 4 days. Now, why it is telling me that, let's say I wanted to use it a zillion times in the next 4 days, I can't add money to it. I don't know why the machine has to tell me that. But it's telling me, this MetroCard, and you can see it right there, it expires on April 30th. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not even Monday, but April 30th. So I got 4 days. And I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I fished this out of my wallet because I got to go and renew the MetroCard. I've got to take the $17 on this thing. Go to one, and this is, I admit, this is already about 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night. So I go towards the 8th Avenue subways, booth closed, nobody there. Nobody, because you can't do this by machine. You got to go to a physical person, God help us, who works for the MTA, God help all of them, to renew a MetroCard, which I've done before. When I'm living in Colorado and I come into New York, I always renew my MetroCards because I know I'm not going to be around for 4 or 5 more months before I come back. So then I go all the way down to the 7th Avenue line, and I see a woman, and my wife is afraid I'm going to be saying something racist because I was dealing with a black woman, and black women hate me. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but black women hate me. And this woman hated me from the get, and she had like silver eyeshadow along her eyes and like weird jewelry. Okay, fine. I'm smiling. I'm being nice. And I'm like, hey, I got this MetroCard. Can add money to it. I don't want to add money to it. What I really want to do is renew it for 3 or 6 months or however long you get on one of these things because it'll expire in 4 days and then I can't do anything. So she takes the card and like a minute passes and I say, can't do anything. My computer won't do. I'm like, what do you mean your computer won't say, we gotta wait till it expires? And I'm like, ma'am, if you wait, I know exactly what will happen if I wait until this card expires. If I wait until it expires, I will go to a booth clerk and they say, can't do it, it expired, throw it out. So I'm doing this with 4 days, as of yesterday, grace period on this MetroCard to say, hey, this is still a viable, usable, supposedly, MetroCard. I paid for it. It's not expired. It's not overdue. It's valid. I need you to change the date. My computer won't let me. And I just, I'm Jewish, so the anger tends to come up pretty quick on me. But I held my peace, and there were like these 4 MTA workers standing around, and they were more construction kind of people who were standing right outside the booth where this woman was. And I hope they didn't take it too personally. But as I was done with, and I said, I was telling her, where do I go? If you can't help me and your computer isn't working, is there someone else with a proper computer? Is there someone else I can? She didn't know. She knew nothing. And I just turned and I just like, idiots. And they looked at me. I was like, I didn't really mean you. I just meant her. Anyway, I think we have a caller on the line. Dave's gone by. Who's calling, please?
Good morning. It's Julie Budd.
Good morning, Julie Budd. You're going to be talking to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon in just a moment or two. Is this a great time for you?
Perfect time.
Oh, yay. So just hang with us a moment.
Okay.
Rabbi Sol,
Can you make yourself just a slight bit louder for me?
Wow. Asking a Jew to be louder. I think I can do that. I think let me see. I can pull the phone a little closer in if it'll let me. There we go. I can at least bring it up closer. Is that a little bit better?
Yes, sir. Thank
And remember, the rabbi yells. He yells incessantly, so you should be totally fine. So Julie, just hang tight. That's Julie Budd on the phone. She's going to be talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon in just a moment or two. Julie Budd, the singer. Julie Budd is going to be at Birdland next week. Rabbi Sol will tell you everything, so will she. It's a delight. It's an honor. Let's play a little bit of Julie Budd while I bring the one, the only, Rabbi Sol Solomon into the Daverhood.
This will be my shining hour, calm and happy and bright. In my dreams, your face will flower.
Oh, shalom, shalom, my friends. Shalom, everyone. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am a theater lover, I am a music lover, and I'm a lover of talented... Oh, God, I'm holding the Torah upside down. We're all going to be struck by lightning today. Anywho, what a delight. I'm going to be talking to someone that I have talked to about 3 or 4 years ago on this very program. Well, it's not this very program because we're doing this very program right now, but this overall program, Dave's Gone By. Her name is Julie Budd. She is a singer. She is going to be, we have 2 different things to tell you about her. Not only is she going to be at Birdland on West 44th Street from May 1st to May 4th doing the Songs of My Life by all different composers. You can also see her, and I need to mention this, on May 14th at the Friars Club. She's going to be interviewed by another friend of the Daverhood, a fellow named Richard Skipper, who does lots of cabaret stuff and theater stuff. So, go see her there. Also get her CD. She has one about Sinatra, of course, that she talked about with us last time she was here. She is a delight. She is so incredibly talented, and she's on the phone with us now. Shalom, Julie Budd. How are you?
I'm great. Happy day to everybody. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Pesach to you, as this in Pesach.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a beautiful season, and it's even going to get better.
Now, do you do anything for Pesach? Did you have or go to a Seder? Are you
I'm sure we always have something. You know, my family always has a beautiful Seder. And, you know, we're 3 girls. We're 3 sisters. So, you know, we take turns who's going to have the biggest crowd at their house.
Now, do you have 2 or just 1 a year? Do you do the American?
You mean the first night and the second night, that kind of thing?
Do you do that or just 1 the first night?
Well, no, we'd have 2. But, you know, it wouldn't be at the same person's house. We'd have it somewhere else.
Oh, that is so... And how are you? I mean, I never really talked that much about your family and personal life. How are your sisters doing? What do they do?
My sisters are terrific.
Yeah.
My youngest sister, right after Passover, went to Japan. She just got married. And she went to Japan. Her husband works for a Japanese company. He goes back and forth. So she went to visit him. She's going to be spending a month or so in Japan. Then she'll come back to New York. And her daughter's getting married. And we're very excited. And my older sister is in the winter in Sarasota. And the rest of the year she's in Rhode Island.
Wait, what Jew spends winter in Florida? I've never heard of such a thing.
I know, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Both my sisters, my little sister, Susie, she's my youngest sister. She bought a place in Orlando. My oldest sister has a place in Sarasota. And they want to get me down there. They want me to do the same thing. So I'll just flip-flop back like my sisters.
Yeah, you're a little young to be a snowbird still.
I don't know. You know, it's so funny. You know, my sisters are there in the winter. So, you know, it's kind of nice for me to break it up and spend time with them. You know, my family's always been close. Everybody's very close in my family. Even the nieces and nephews, the way my sisters, you know, have raised the kids and stuff. Family is important to us. So, the new generation, the new kids that are coming up now, the grandchildren, you know, the great nieces and nephews, everybody is close, and it's very nice.
Now, if you don't mind my asking, you know, when you mentioned your family, the first thing people would think of is, what about, you never got married or had kids or any of that. Was that a conscious?
No, I've been married. I've been married.
Oh, yeah, I didn't remember.
Oh, yeah, I was married when I was in my 20s and my very early 30s, and then I wasn't married anymore. And then I met a man who's just wonderful, and I've been with him over 20 years.
Mazel, what does he do? What's his name? Tell us.
He's a doctor.
Of course.
Yes, he's a physician, and he's also an associate medical director at a major hospital here in New York.
Oh.
And he's a very, very bright person, and he's a nephrologist, and he's a very, very different person than a show person, which I sort of like, because when I come home, you know, I like to be just a regular old-fashioned girl. So I like to leave the show business behind. I like to have a very simple, plain life, and when I'm not on stage, I like to just be myself.
And also, don't forget, I mean, at the moment, you're only in your mid-60s. You're going to have a birthday this coming week, next week. But, you know, as you're getting into your 70s, it's good to be married to a doctor. You don't have to make an appointment. You just, you know, you look over in the bed. It's like, can you check this? Does this look malignant?
The funny thing about being with a doctor, they don't want to hear it. You know, they see terrible things every day, and they see, you know, life-threatening. You know, it's like you've got to be like laying on the floor for them to pay attention.
So, well, I'm so glad that you've had this man in your life for 2 decades now. I think it's a blessing, and you're going to have 30, 40 more. Another man in your life, you know, and also I try and Google and find these things before I ask them. I don't find a lot of information. But someone who's been in your life much, much longer than 20 years is a conductor, orchestrator, arranger named Herb Bernstein. Is he alive and well?
Herbie Bernstein's my best friend. He was just here last night for Shabbos dinner.
Oh, mit mazel. Good.
Thank you.
Because I didn't know it. Because for so many years you wonder if he's retired, but he's good.
Oh God, no, Herbie! Are you kidding? I have to tell you, Herbie Bernstein would not know the word retirement. And you know what's really great about our business, which Herbie and I were actually just talking about this. What's great about our industry, as long as you can do your job well, and as long as you have the ability to do your work. I mean, I've seen conductors in their 90s performing at symphonies. As long as you can do your job, the industry welcomes you. You know, especially the genre that I perform in. There's not a lot of age discrimination. There's more age discrimination like maybe in the record business. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well, you were sort of in the record business for a little bit, but now you're basically in a concert nightclub.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've made records, I've recorded, but I was never really a mainstream record act. I've always been a theatrical performer. And so the area that I sort of lived in this industry, it never had that kind of age discrimination. I mean, look, you know, you had Ella performing all the way into her 70s. You have Marilyn May performing in her 90s.
Yes.
You have Tony Bennett performing in his 90s. I mean, it's not that kind of a thing where as a matter of fact, they admire it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although, yeah, when Leonard Bernstein was conducting towards the end of his life, every symphony was 5 hours long at that point. It's like, da, 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 da. But that was just Lenny. That was just him.
No, but the thing is, it does embrace and it does respect the more mature artist, where a lot of other areas don't.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. So how do you, as a 64-plus-year-old person, do you do different things with your instrument, your voice? Because you also teach master classes and one-on-one lessons. So is it Do you have to do more exercises, different exercises than you did in your 30s?
Well, it's an interesting question because voices are ever-changing, even when you're younger. You know, when you're a young kid and you're 16 and, you know, you have this flexible, you know, instrument that can do no wrong, in 4 or 5 years, that'll change a little bit. And then a decade after that, it's still there, but that changes a little, and it gets a little darker, and it gets a little deeper, and it gets a little, some people even like it more. But whatever stage you're in vocally, it's really, really important, really, really, really important to remain the student, because the rigors of this industry can really take down a natural instrument. So it's not enough that you have a natural instrument and that it responds and it's always there, because now you're going to be in an arena where it asks a lot of you physically. And you're going to go on tour and you're going to do a lot of things, hopefully, because that means you're working and you're busy.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to take care of your instrument, and if you don't take care of your instrument and really baby it a little bit, you might find yourself out of the tour more than you're in the tour.
I hear.
And that's not the good news. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about artists that had to take time off because, you know, they're having vocal problems or whatever. You know, you really have to take good care of yourself and even pace yourself through your tour. So, yes, you're correct. You're absolutely correct.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I try and baby my instrument in the shower every morning, but...
well, don't laugh.
Not
The
like
singers, before they go out on stage, a lot of them stand in the shower with that steam, and it opens up their throat and it cleans out their whole body, and then they go out there and they can give the audience, you know, the best that they've got. You'd be surprised what people do to keep themselves in shape and to get out there and to continue to, you know, do what they do. And a lot of people, they do it even as a young person. I mean, when I was a young kid, I was very cognizant of, you know, taking care of my throat. I never went out after a show. You know, a lot of people go out and party after the show. The only time I'll go out after a show is if it's the last show, and maybe, you know, there's a party for the closing night or something, and I know I don't have to perform the next day. But if I have to sing, I would never be out.
Are you on vocal? Are you performing tonight? Like, are you doing any shows tonight, or you're just rehearsing or just vegging?
Now until I open on Wednesday, I'm in rehearsals. I have band rehearsal. I have, you know, meetings on orchestra with Herbie. I have costume stuff to go over. You know, there's details, dialogue, business to go over, all those things.
But
now it's crunch time because Wednesday's the opening, and then we run all week, and then I have the Friars show to do, and then I have other shows that I'm going to be doing over the summer. So I mean, we have a lot of details to take care of, and each show is different. We're not taking one show from theater to theater, which sometimes we do, but in this case, we're taking different shows.
Well, tell us about the show that's going to be at Birdland, The Songs of Your Life.
That's an interesting show for me. I hope it will be for the audience as well. It's a new show for us.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll tell you how it came about.
Please.
Years ago when I worked with Frank Sinatra, I noticed in his shows that he always thanked the people behind the scenes. I noticed he always thanked the orchestrators. He always paid tribute to the lyricists and the composers. He always thanked the tech people. And he was the first artist that I ever worked with. And I had worked with a lot of them, even by the time I was 16. But he was one of the first that I noticed who paid attention to the people that helped him put it all together, the people behind the scenes. And I thought about that, how menschy that was, you know. And I thought about when I was writing, and Herbie and I were putting this show together. And I thought, when you think about it, the people that I was so blessed to know, I was blessed to know Burt Bacharach and Hal David and Michel Legrand. I did a TV special with him. and it won an Emmy. It won an Emmy Award. And then I got to know people like Irving Caesar, who wrote until he was 102 years old, and Cy Coleman and Dorothy Fields and Anthony Newley and Marvin Hamlish.
All right, you know what? Stop right there. Stop right there, Julie Budd. You can't throw all these names at us and then not tell us little stories about some of these people.
Well, in the show, I do. And Herbie said something very interesting last night when we were having dinner. And I think Herbie was right. He said, you know, a lot of people could do tribute shows, and they do. You know, there are Sondheim shows all over the place, and there are even Marvin shows all over the place. He said, but nobody could stand up there and say that they personally knew all these people. He said very few people, Julie, could do that. They could. It would be an impossibility to find people that could actually say, I knew every one of these people, and I knew them personally.
But that's what I want to hear from, because it's like the producer of this program, Dave, he once saw, believe it or not, Mickey Rooney live at the Irish Repertory Theater off Broadway in New York. And Mickey was pretty old at this point and almost kind of out of it. He was reading everything off cue cards, but he was still Mickey freaking Rooney, right? And I know we're reading all this horrible news about him now in the papers of what he was like with the casting couch, but at least he was old.
Wait a second. Did you say Mickey Rooney? Because I lost you for a second.
Yeah, Mickey Rooney.
I worked with him. I did some TV with him.
Okay. So, but here, I'll tell this, and then I want to hear about Mickey Rooney, but the point of seeing his show was that he said, oh, and then I worked with so-and-so. And then I knew so-and-so, and this was a friend, and we did this movie together. And it was okay, because he knew these people. But he wouldn't really tell us anything about them or any personal anecdotes that you couldn't read on his basic Wikipedia page.
Right.
You've got to tell us, since you did know these people.
First of all, my show's a little bit different.
Please, good.
First of all, I talk about the fact that when I met a lot of these people, I was a kid. And I was plucked right out of Brooklyn. I had not done anything professionally. And there I was in the middle of this arena where I was working with seasoned professionals who, although loved me and I had great relationships with them, and although they acknowledged that I was a kid and they wanted to be nice to me, it was still, it was big business. We were in show business. We were opening at Caesar's Palace, or we were doing a major television special, and I was expected to stand up there and hold my own. Luckily for me, I had a lot of natural ability. I had Herbie on my side, guiding me. I worked along with very fine directors, but they showed great patience with me. They were wonderful to me.
Good.
And I talk a little bit about, the kind of person, that I thought that they were. But the fact that some of them, even Sinatra, people had warned me that Sinatra was going to be a very difficult person. I'll never forget when I first got that job, Dave, and I might have told you this before. When we were talking about the Sinatra CD.
Tell us again.
But I was warned that Sinatra was going to be a very difficult person, and that I should just keep my mouth shut, do the shows, go in the dressing room, have very little to do with him, and stay out of trouble. That was what everybody told me on the way to the engagement. And I was a kid. I was barely 16. I was like 15 and a half. I wasn't even 16 yet. And I was on my way to Las Vegas, to do all this work. And I get on stage, and it's opening day. And there's 45 pieces on the stage or more, who could remember. And a lot of these orchestrations I had been hearing that day for the first time. That day was opening day. And it was also band day the same day. So I was early in rehearsal hearing these orchestrations. Imagine, I'm 16 years old. I'm hearing it for the first time. And I finish up. They tell me Sinatra's on his way to come to rehearsal. I didn't even know he was supposed to be coming that early. I finish up. I walk off into the wings. And my eyes were not adjusted to the lights yet, because I had been on stage in a spot. for 2 hours, rehearsing.
Yeah.
So I walk into the wings where it's dark, and I really couldn't see. My eyes needed to adjust. But I see and hear somebody calling my name. And I look up, and it's Sinatra. He's in the wings. And he opens his arms to me, and he gives me a big hug, and he goes, Julie, welcome to the show. And if you need anything, come to me. It was a very welcoming gesture, and it was genuine. And it was one of the things that I learned about Sinatra. And this is why a lot of people who were phonies didn't like him, because he didn't pretend. If he liked you, he liked you. And if he didn't, he didn't. And it was just as simple as that. If he liked you, he'd give you the world. And I never gave him any reason to distrust my integrity about the work, and I never gave him any reason to doubt me as far as my being a professional, even though I was very young. And he knew that I was there to do the work. And I think, he started very young. His mother got him his first job in Jersey City with a local orchestra when he was about 14, 15 years old. So he was like my age when he started. I was 12 when I started. But when I really was seriously involved in the industry, I was about 14, maybe 13, because I met Merv when I was 13.
Merv, yes.
He saw a little bit of himself in me, and he also, and he made it very clear to me that one of the things that he really loved about what I was doing was that I was a young kid and I was carrying the torch for the American Songbook, where a lot of kids my age were like looking for the hit record, and they were, just recording what was, hit and what would get on the radio. And that's, I had no judgment about art in that respect. That's fine. That's just a choice, But he loved that I was doing this. And I remember he said to me, keep doing these songs, Julie, because if you don't, one day when I'm not performing anymore, it was very parental, actually.
Yeah.
He said, one day if when I'm not performing anymore, he says, if you don't do these songs, he says, Julie, your generation has to hear these songs. He said, because if they don't, it's going to be as if they never existed. And he made me promise. There was one medley in the show that I did. It was Richard Rogers and Lorenz Hart medley. And he made me promise him that I would always perform it. He made me promise that, and it's very funny.
And forever, or just while he was still alive?
So, I was very lucky in that sense.
Well, do you still, like in the show that you're doing, in the Songs of My Life, are you still doing that medley? Or did he just mean, whenever you were on tour with him?
He meant throughout your career.
Yeah.
This is the music you've got to be in. Throughout your career, you've got to continually acknowledge the American Songbook. And even if it means acknowledging the new people that write the great material, the people like Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, people like that, who happen to be in this show. I'm doing a piece that Scott and Mark Shaman wrote for Mary Poppins Returns, because I look at them as the new breed of American.
Well, they're American theatrical, as opposed to more of the songbook top 40. Yes,
but Mark is writing, and Scott, Mark, they're writing way across the board. They write for film, they write for stage, they write for all kinds of things, and they are our new breed when you really think about it.
Oh, sure.
They are what Marvin was in the 70s, and it's important to show that, the good music is still playing on. Because you hear people say, oh, God, they don't know how to write that like that anymore. But you know what?
They do.
It's not really true. They do. It's just that, the record companies, which even exist anymore, or the powers that be that push, the contemporary music forward, don't always acknowledge what I'm talking about. But believe me, it exists. It exists in the performing arts centers. It exists in the symphonies. It exists on Broadway. It exists in film. And it even exists in television in the finer production. So that pleases me. And that's kind of like what's in the show. The show is a very personal show. It's about all the people that I knew. I mean, Tony Newley, we used to call him Tony, was one of the finest people you could ever know. Marvin Hamlish was eccentric and crazy and brilliant and warm.
Well, what was an eccentricity that you saw? A lovable eccentricity of Marvin Hamlish.
Well, if you ever saw Marvin, you just know everything that I'm talking about.
I never met him. I saw a documentary about him, but I don't remember it. Refresh our memory here.
Go back and revisit. Just watch Marvin talk and how he expresses, and he was very open and very honest. And I used to always feel that there was something about Marvin that was very childlike. Marvin didn't know how to lie. you ever put something in a child's mouth and he doesn't like it and he makes like a funny face?
Yeah. There's a joke in there I'm not going to make, but okay. Yeah.
He was very, very honest about life. And if he loved it, it was the greatest thing in the world. And if he didn't like it, he was the kid who made the funny face. He was, but it showed up in his music, that kind of, authenticity showed up in his music. And he had great skills. He was trained so well that, Marvin was a perfect example of the organic, and he was a perfect example of the finely trained. Marvin had it all. He really did.
Now, what about Cy Coleman? Do you have any memories?
Cy was the warmest guy. You know how I just told you before how, like, when I'm off stage, I like to be off stage?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Cy was very much like that. He loved show business, and he loved show people, and all his friends were show people. But there was something about Cy that was just a plain nice Jewish boy. There was something about Cy that you sensed in him that he just couldn't believe that he was here doing all this great stuff.
Mm.
He was never boastful. He was never, he was just at this great party, and he didn't want it to end. And that's the way he was. And he was really smart, and he was very honest, and he was, I remember when I went to his house, and he was so excited.
Wow.
It was the most beautiful townhouse, and he was so excited, and he loved the pizza oven in the kitchen. He had to show me the pizza oven in the kitchen.
All right.
Out of all the songs that he wrote, now, all the music we were working on, and this huge, amazing place that he just moved into, but that pizza oven, he had to show me the pizza oven. He was just like a kid. He was just...
Hey, look, I would be impressed if he had a matzoh oven, quite honestly. But a pizza oven's pretty good, too.
I can't hear you. What?
Well, I was just saying, if he had a special oven to make shmura matzahs, that would be something. That would be... Now, I will also, since you brought his name up, even though he's not going to be in the show that you are doing, you mentioned Mickey Rooney.
I actually opened with a Cy Coleman.
Oh, no, but I also want to get to Mickey Rooney, whom you mentioned.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Mickey Rooney! Little guy. Yeah. Tell me some Mickey Rooney stories.
Well, Mickey, I found, when I worked with him, I was doing the Johnny Carson show. And Johnny liked him as a guest a lot. And, there were a couple of times when he was there, and I spent time with him, backstage, and we were all preparing to go on, and we all had rehearsals together in the afternoon at the same time. And then we spent time together, doing the shows. And, I didn't know him personally. I had friends out in L.A., actually, that knew him personally and that liked him. But I just knew him as, someone that I did TV shows with. He did a couple of Merv Griffin shows when I was a kid. I remember him on Merv, and I used to do the shows, and he was there because Merv liked him as a guest. And but Johnny liked him a lot. Okay. And then I saw him at Johnny's show, like I said, several times. And I found him to be very, very easy to be with. He was kind of a regular guy. it was toward the end of his career. He wasn't in the prime. I remember that when I saw him in between, what he was doing sort of midstream in his career, mid to end stream, he was out on the road, I think, with Ann Miller doing Sugar Babies.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he loved working. Mickey loved to work.
Yeah.
And that made him happier than anything, was to be a busy artist. He liked to work. And if he was working, this was my sense of things, that if he was working, he was happy as a clam. He was just happy. But if he wasn't working, maybe he wasn't so happy. See, the thing that I really strive to do in my life is, whether I'm working or I'm not working, I try to come home and have a real life, so that,
So that if you go a week or two without working, it's okay.
Consistent and true in my life.
Yeah.
And listen, nobody works forever, and so, and nothing sustains itself forever. Even if you do work forever, on some level, there's always a peak and a valley in people's careers, and so I try to create a lifestyle for myself where, I know who I am when I get off stage. That the stage is not the only thing that defines me. And sometimes you're more successful at it than others.
Well, you are going to be reaching another career peak this coming week, because you will be at Birdland on West 44th Street from May 1st through May 4th doing the Songs of My Life by some of the people that you've been talking about and mentioning it. And also, do you have any Burt Bacharach stories?
Well, Burt Bacharach, yes. Burt Bacharach is one of the finest gentlemen in our industry. I mean, anybody, I would be shocked if anybody didn't say anything less than the man is totally charming. He is the nicest man. I also knew his parents when I was a little girl. His father had a radio show, and they were kind of the toast of the town here in New York in the mid to late 60s, and, they were socialites, and they were very, very sophisticated, well-known family, nice people, very, very, very nice people. And look, they had this brilliant son, and they were, more than proud. And they were just a lovely, lovely family. Every time I've been in Bert's presence, he's always been this soft-spoken, insightful, Bert is very easy to be around. I mean, I found him very easy to be around, professionally anyway. I think that he is a quiet genius, and he really does know what works for him. I knew Hal David a lot better than I knew Bert, and Hal David was a prince. Hal David was this nice Jewish kid from New York who couldn't believe all this happened to him.
So it sounds like the other person you were talking about, Cy Coleman, yeah.
Cy Coleman. They both had that. But I think that, Hal David even had it even more. He just, Hal just couldn't believe this was all happening to him. And it's so funny because for as many years as Hal had been writing and having hits, he just, every time another one hit the charts, you would think it was the first record he ever had. You know what I mean? He was a delightful, delightful man. Yes, and you're right. Hal David and Cy Coleman did have that. And you know who else has that?
Who?
That sort of, that special deliciousness about all this.
Besides me, who?
Jerry Herman.
Oh, I totally get that. I can sense that about him.
He has that.
Yeah.
You know who else had it? It's so funny. And you can hear it in their music. It's so funny. If you really listen to their music, folks, when you go home and you listen to their music and you hear how I describe them, you're going to hear this kind of quality in their music. You know who else had that? Was Julie Stein.
Really? Wow.
Julie Stein was like an old vaudevillian, and he was so excited by this industry, and he loved artists so much. You know, it's interesting. If you're going to do this every day, you better love it, because it's a hard industry, and, you know, it breaks a lot of hearts. But if you love what you do, and this is a perfect example of how people do it for as long as they live.
Yeah.
That there's really no expiration date on their work. So that's, in a nutshell, what the show's about.
It sounds delightful. And before I forget, I also want to know, that's your Songs of My Life show that you're doing at Birdland. But then a week later, on May 14th, you're going to be at the Friars Club doing something quite different with our friend Richard Skipper. So what's that?
Well, that's a retrospect on my life and this career. And it talks about a lot of things that you and I are talking about, but it goes a little bit deeper into my family and my introduction to the industry, and even a little bit deeper with the relationships that I had with certain people in the industry, and just, you know, things that happen, my family, and it's I'll have a lot of film clips. I wanted to have DVD in the Songs of My Life show, but I don't think Birdland supports DVD, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it technically there. But I'm going to do it at the Friars. And it's nice because as I'm talking about Marvin Hamlish, you see pictures of me with Marvin. As I'm talking about Mr. Sinatra, the same thing. And you see the marquee of me and Mr. Sinatra. And, you know, it supports the story a little bit because you get the visuals and you see me together with these people. As I'm talking about Jimmy Durante, you see me with Durante, you know. So it's kind of nice because as I'm having this conversation with everybody about how I got to where I was and where I'm going now, you sort of see the progression of a life. You know, I start out with photos from when I was like 12 years old, and then I work all the way up to now. So you just see how it all came to be.
Now, can I ask, will you be performing at all singing-wise at the Friars, or is that conversation film clips only?
No. We will have a 20 to half-hour segment on music. Herbie will be there. My keyboardist, Art Weiss, will be there. We'll be doing about 5 or 6 numbers. And then we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what it was like. You know, Herbie Bernstein has a rich career because he produced Laura Nero's first album, which is the album that put her on the charts.
Right.
He produced Dusty Springfield, Tina Turner, John Denver, The Happenings, The Four Seasons, Leslie Gore. Herbie worked with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he sold about 40 million records. So this is the man who took me under his wing when I was 12 years old and introduced me to Merv Griffin. And I was able to be introduced to Merv Griffin by Herbie because Herbie was producing and arranging his next album. Merv was also a singer, you know.
I don't remember that.
At that time, Merv was recording. And Herbie went in, and Herbie was the producer and the orchestrator. When Herbie met me, it was a perfect match to bring me down to the session and to have me sing for Merv Griffin. And that's how I met Merv Griffin. And my life changed in that moment because Merv liked me a lot. And he continued to put me on television every single week for the next 5 years of my life. So you can imagine what kind of visibility that was for a young musician.
Can I ask you, Julie, we talked about these people from the golden age, as it were, of songwriting and of musical theater. What have you had, not run-ins, but encounters, or these people that Herb was representing, of people of more of the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s pop era that you've met and encountered, like stars or superstars who are not from the folks that we've been talking about, but also Beatles type people or Stonesy people or Dusty Springfield or folks like that?
What about them? I missed them.
Well, did you get to meet them? Do you have any stories about?
I met them all. Herbie brought me to all the sessions. I knew Laura Nero. Laura was the most delightful girl, very interesting girl, sort of connected to the universe in a very, very unique way, but just a delightful gal.
Oh, good.
And she was 19 years old when I met her, and I was 12. And you know, she was a sweet little girl. She was a sweet kid. She was starting out. And that's when Herbie did all those first recordings with us. Stony End, When I Die, Wedding Bell Blues, all of those big hits.
And also, before I forget as well, let me, even though this goes back, way back as well, you have to, in the circle that you move in, you must have met Tony Bennett a time or two.
Have I met Tony Bennett? Is that what you just asked?
Yeah, Tony Bennett.
Well, Herbie knows Tony Bennett quite well. I've met Tony on occasion in the industry. He's the one person I never really worked with.
Huh.
And but
you still can. He's still singing.
Me. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at a wall with some pictures as you and I are talking, and there's a photo of me and Tony and Larry King and God bless him, Fred Travellina. We were singing in Washington. We were on the same show. We were singing in Washington for President Clinton.
Wow.
Clinton at the time. So, I mean, Tony knows me. I've sung on shows that he's on, but I never went out on tour with him. Okay. I never went out on tour with Tony. But Tony knows me. Of course he does.
Well, again, I'm looking for anecdotes. I'm looking for stories of people.
He happens to be a lovely person, Tony Bennett. And he's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You know, Tony loves his music, and music clearly has been his whole life. But, you know, he loves other things. He loves to paint. He's a wonderful artist. You know, some people don't know that about him. He's a terrific painter, and he enjoys doing that. You know, people are very interesting. They have all kinds of ways, you know, to express themselves artistically.
So what are yours besides, I mean, I know you love your family. What are your hobbies? What do you do when you're not rehearsing or singing?
Well, I love to cook.
Cooking. So New, invite me over. I'm starving. It's Passover. I'm constipated. I'm miserable. Help here.
I love to cook. I love to potchkey around my house. And, you know, I love to go to museums. I love to design clothes. You know, it's funny how certain things go down through the genes. My mother's father was a clothing designer. Oh. He was a well-known clothing designer here in New York. So, you know, it's funny. My sisters also have a visual art talent. So it's funny how certain things are carried through the genes. But I like to do things like that. I like to read. I like to go to museums. I like to cook. I like to do things like that.
Well, I hope that everyone watching and listening to this program will like to go to Birdland this coming week, May 1st through May 4th. Birdland is over on 8th and 44th Street. Flying to Birdland, you should go to see.
And this is a new theater, too. You know, there's the jazz room upstairs, which is Birdland, which has been open since 1948.
Right.
And then there's the new theater, which is downstairs. It's a theater.
Oh.
And, of course, let your audience know there's an elevator, of course. They also serve dinner, and which is kind of nice because the doors open at 5 o'clock. So people could come there for dinner. The shows are at 7. So it doesn't have to be a very late night. It's kind of well situated. You don't have to think about, oh, God, where am I going for dinner? You know, it's right there, and they have a terrific kitchen. And you could also see a show at 7 o'clock, and you could be home by 8:30, 8:45. And you've had a complete evening. And it's a brand new theater. It's really, really, it's really beautiful. And so I encourage everybody to come pay a visit. And I come out after the show and I say hello to everybody.
Oh, and if they bring one of your CDs, will you
Sure,
sign it?
you could buy the CDs there. Absolutely. So you could either bring whatever you have if so, but I also have programs on the table. I'll sign your programs. So, I mean, it's just a delightful evening. It really is. And it's an intimate, beautiful room. It's not big, you know, the way I do a lot of symphonies and performing arts centers, and those are like 2,000-seat theaters. This is very intimate. It's a theater, but it's an intimate setting, and it's very lovely.
How can you beat it? How can you be more lovely than Julie Budd? I have one last question for you, because on your website, it says that you've been working on your memoirs. Are you?
You want to know something? Yes is the answer. But it's been so slow going because somebody asked me about this the other day, and they said to me, cut it out, Julie, get done with it. I start writing, and I get done with like 6 or 7 chapters, and then I get caught up because I have a production coming up, and I have to, train for the production, and I have to, build a show Herbie and I are writing, and you get very sidetracked, and you get pulled away. So I really have to take this summer, and I learned something about writing, that if you don't discipline yourself and say, okay, I'm getting up 7 o'clock in the morning, whole summer, and I'm going to do nothing but write. You have to discipline yourself to write, because it's the distractions that pull you away from the creative source of doing that, and that's what's happened. So yes, to answer your question, I have to get back to this and finish up the book. And yes, I have been focusing on it for the longest time, but I am going to finish it one of these days, yes.
Well, we will be there to read it and to enjoy it, and of course to enjoy all your music. Julie Budd, it remains for me to just say what a delight it has been to have you back in the Daverhood. I wish you a Zissen end of Pesach, a wonderful stint at Birdland, and also at the Friars Club on May 14th with Richard Skipper.
Thank you so much. And listen, you've been a great pal to me. Thank you for always allowing me to be part of your show and to spend time with you and your audience. You've been really, really nice, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I gotta let you go now before I start blushing. You don't want to see a rabbi blush. Shalom to you, Julie Budd.
Shalom. Be well.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Julie Budd, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, what a delight. What's that, not a joy? What is she? Just not the sweetest, nicest, funnest thing you've ever heard? And speaking of hearing her, let's hear her.
When somebody loves you, it's no good unless he loves you all the way.
Oh my goodness, wasn't that just delightful and wonderful? Julie Budd in the Daverhood. Ches, whom I actually don't know, but someone named Ches says, thank you, Dave, for bringing us this wonderful interview with Rabbi Sol Solomon. Great interview with Julie Budd. Thank you, Ches, and all those folks who've been tuning in, Lawrence and Francis, and we got a bunch of thumbs up while the conversation was going on. Steve, awesome. Richard Skipper wrote in to say, love you both. Thank you, Richard, and love you too. And who else is there? And other George and Jeffrey and Eileen and Elif and David from my high school, and Ian, our friend of the Daverhood, Five-ish's kid, and Claudia from my high school, and Joanne, and Lara from Colorado, and Trevor from my old radio station, not a radio station I was at, not my old radio station. Let's see, Karen and Raymond. So great to see all of you. And many more as we continue this Facebookio Podcastio program of the stream.
Your shirt looks black on there. It looks darker.
Yeah.
It doesn't look navy.
What's kind of interesting is, I guess it's the lighting in here. My wife got me this lovely navy blue polka dot shirt. And see, if I get up close like this, it looks blue. Now you can see it. Now I can actually see the dots and the polkas, because it's polkaing and obericking on my body. But yeah, no, this is actually a blue shirt, but from this distance, it's kind of black looking. I think it looks pretty good on me. I do anyway, so thank you. And Tony says, ya. Is he saying yo or ya? Oh, my glasses. Well, yo, Tony, to you too. And thanks for tuning in every week and being such a supporter of Dave's Gone By. If you guys want to support this show and have more guests like Julie Budd, more fun with Rabbi Sol and with me, because we got a whole show still to do of other stuff, here's what you do. Just tell people about the program. Tell your Facebook friends and say, if you have thousands or hundreds of friends on Facebook. Tune in Saturday mornings, 9 until 11:30-ish, right here. Dave's Gone By is the Facebook page, and just bring them in and have them like or favorite the page and tune in with us. If they don't have Facebook, not everybody does, and people they're worried about their data and their personal information. They're like, oh, I don't want to be on Facebook anymore. It's okay. Just send them to my website, davesgoneby.com. davesgoneby.com. And you can listen to all the older episodes there. When the live show's on Facebook, but we save it. Actually, Facebook also archives the videos too, so you can just stay right on Facebook. But if you want to hear all our older episodes, it's on davesgoneby.com.
Can you say what the letters are there?
Well, let's see. Yeah, we got some Hebrew letters for the holiday. This is, I believe, a Vav. There's a Hey. There's a Dalet.
What does the rose mean?
The rose. Where's the rose?
Flower and
let's see.
curtain.
So I don't know what the Hebrew word for rose is. Anybody watching, you can
flower.
There's a curtain or something. I honestly don't know. See, some of these others, like Hey, there's a mountain. I believe it's a mountain of snot. I don't know why it's green, but it's Hey for Har, which means, but that's a candle. That's Nair. Oh no, it's a Havdalah candle because it's all twisted. Yeah. Hey, you should ask Rabbi Sol this. He's better at this than I am. Oh. And then Daled, D is for dog, fish, and that's a jar of honey. Oh. It's local Southampton honey.
How do you say it?
Davash. D Daled for Davash. So there you go. So this is for Passover, which is a few hours longer to go. And and happy Passover, and thank you to Rabbi Sol. Rabbi Sol is going to be back with us, by the way. He's going to be doing, is there something, problema? Joyce is going to fix me on the air, show my undershirt. There. Ooh.
Is that nice? Give a color this, see?
Yeah, but should I show this, or should I button this?
Button it.
I'm going to button this.
Is that too much?
It's way too sexy for morning television. Yeah. Just people are hyperventilating watching me. There you go. Website, yes. Email, davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com to write to me, or just message me right here on Facebook, the Dave's Gone By Facebook page. How are you doing, babe? This is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. This is our 694th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebook podcast programming over the stream. We are calling it Buddy Buddy for Julie Budd. You did? Oh, I forgot to invite. I guess I'll invite them now. I totally forgot to do the whole invite thing.
I did it with everybody I know. You have way more friends. Just do invite all. There's no invite all thing here, because otherwise I would. So sorry about this little clicking noise I'm sure you're all hearing. It'll take only a moment as I just click down do I want to invite that serial killer? Yeah, sure. I'll get him. Bernie Madoff, yes. You don't have friends. If we have friends with Bernie Madoff, we'd be in much better shape.
Yeah, because we would never have invested millions of. Here's $10, Bernie. Can you do something with it? What else? What else are we going to do? Well, coming up on the program, we've got our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we're going to another place we've never heard of, Hotchkiss, Colorado.
Hotchkiss, Topscotch?
No, not Hotchkiss lymphoma. Hotchkiss, Colorado. We'll have a little poem about that. We'll also have, Rabbi Sol, as I said, will be back. He's going to do more story time with this wonderful, thrilling book. Especially for the last day, The Laws of Pesach.
2006.
But I checked this. I was going to figure out if he updated this every year. Yeah. Well, Rabbi Avram, it was so much effort to make this book. Rabbi Avram Blumenkranz dropped dead a year later after the book came out. He did. He died. So this is his legacy. All the laws of following Passover in 800 plus pages.
What's his name?
Rabbi Avraham Blumenkranz, the late Avraham Blumenkranz. So, I mean, here, they're going to have this one chapter on bathing a child on Passover, because there's going to be rules.
Why?
About, because there has to be a certain soap, I imagine. And also, maybe since it's Passover, if you're going to put a child in water, you're going to part the water before you put the child in so it doesn't drown.
You're not permitted to heat the water or wash the entire baby's body if there's health reasons, or if the baby's dirty, as in the case of diarrhea. The baby must be washed in hot water. You can't wash the whole body.
Well, if the baby has diarrhea. What?
If the baby has diarrhea, you can.
Oh, you can.
If
right.
hot water is not available, you can ask a non-Jew to boil some water. An alternative method would be for a Jewish person to heat a full kettle of water, use part for a drink and the rest for the baby's bath. It is prohibited to use a washcloth, sponge, and bar soap.
Bar soap?
Yeah, you can't.
Because you know why? You leave bar soap out. Maybe if you open a brand new one.
No.
But this is why Jews are nuts. I'm sorry. I am a Jew, a fairly proud Jew, but Jews are freaking nuts. Go ask a non-Jew across the street to boil water for you.
Oh, what about clog removers?
Oh, what can we do about clog removers on Passover?
Bus-to-bus solutions heavy duty?
Well, if you make and you're lucky if you make a heavy duty on Passover, considering what we eat. What else we got in there?
Denture cushion.
Wait. What is a denture cushion?
Oh, you only can have two.
Oh,
what's a denture cushion?
It has to be. Oh, they give you denture cushions, which I assume is the thing that you put on to make your gums softer when you put the teeth on. I think, or to hold them there.
Know, maybe.
And it gives you two brands.
Oh, like pillows.
Yeah, Easy O and Snug. If you think I'm kidding, folks, here's denture, Easy O, Snug denture, and we're getting thumbs up on this in hearts.
Oh, good.
For denture cushions. So maybe Polygrip and Denture Grip are not kosher for Passover?
But that's 2006. It's 13
There might be lard in them.
It's 13 years old, David.
Yeah, granted, you can't, and he even says in the opening of this book that, you can't use an older version. And you don't use this book 2 years from now because laws change and new products come on the market. And also because he wants to sell a new book every year. It's like college professors writing textbooks. It's like, you need the latest edition.
Don't say that. We do it so we can get the
tenure.
The slave wages that we get for royalty.
Yeah. But the publisher, who's charging $150 to students for a book.
Oh, the publishers, it's a corporate entity.
Yeah. But they're like, oh no, you can't use the 4th edition anymore. No, we've changed 5 words in it. Now
but usually it means like a law or something big has changed.
Yeah.
Generally, like if you do books that came out, like policy books that are a year old or
policy,
old,
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking about English textbooks and history. History doesn't change so much.
Language.
Hannibal was still on an elephant.
Yeah, but language like sis and all the words like they, use of that.
Sure. I mean, there are changes. I'm being a little bit reductive, but
overly foo-foo.
All right, I'm being overly foo-foo, as my wife would say.
You're
Hey, Chauncey tuned in. Hello, Chauncey.
Chauncey.
He was our guest a week or so ago in the Daverhood. And remember, if you wanted to hear Rabbi Sol's interview with Chauncey Howell, just go to davesgondby.com.
A little more blue than I expected.
Yeah, right?
Woo-hoo-hoo. No,
I know.
He comes off being so nice, but who knew he had the secret Chauncey sauce?
Well, it seems like everybody in TV news. As soon as the cameras go off.
Well, tell Chauncey he should watch Rake.
Yeah, on Netflix.
On Netflix.
He probably would. Why specifically that one?
Because they have a guy as a politician who becomes a newscaster, and you see behind the newscasting show.
Oh, I see.
Cal, right? Cal.
I mean, actually, what was that one about? No, Cal on that show. But there was other shows about newscasters and things like that in American
really
TV.
Good. We're watching that.
Oh, and by the way, welcome to Cynthia. Hello, Cynthia.
It's a pretty name.
It is, isn't it? Cynthia. So, welcome to everyone watching the show. And I told you what's coming up, but we haven't yet done something called Greeley Crimes Old Times. And this is Joyce has just got up, that's why the camera moved here, and pointed her butt right at me, which is a very tempting thing even though I'm on the air, I'm still a male.
You're a primate.
I'm still, Joyce says I'm still a primate, and I see this tush coming out at me. I'm like, okay, let's just, we'll save that for later. But are you ready, dear?
Yes, honey. Can I stand up?
Yeah, whatever's more comfortable for you. Just make sure we can hear you on the our audio devices as we do Greeley Crimes and Old Times. La 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 dee dee doo. So Greeley,
My fitness pal is wanting me to track. I'm doing both. Let me track.
Yeah, you can walk around. You can get some steps on your Fitbit while we're doing this.
He wants me to track my foodie.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That tells me he wants to track my food.
What is shmura matzah? What is that on your fitness tracker
No,
pad
I do
thing?
matzah manischewitz. That's the closest. I don't want to do shmira.
Okay. What about ring gels by Joyvot?
Oh,
How much? Is it 800 calories per ring gel?
I think so. I think it just says go to the ER.
Oh, man. So Greeley Crimes Old Times. We have been living up until the past couple of weeks in Colorado, about an hour and a half north of Denver, in a little town, well, small city called Greeley, Colorado, where Joyce has been teaching, I've been teaching, and we've just been enjoying the mountains and the non-rainy weather in a place that isn't New York.
Yay.
Well, the newspaper there is called the Greeley Tribune. Let me show a copy of it. Yeah, here it is. The Greeley Tribune, which now, like all newspapers, is coming out only 4 days a week in hard copy, but it still exists. The Trib, or the Gree Trib, as we can kind of dub it. This is...
Can we call it the Bune? Tribune?
The Bune! I like that. But how do we differentiate it then from like the Herald Tribune?
The G-Bune.
The G-Bune. I like it.
It's like
Begin the Tribune.
Yeah.
So in the Tribune...
It doesn't really flow, but it's okay.
Nothing. I don't know what I was going to say there, but in the Greeley Tribune, one of the cool things that they have been doing for years now are two different columns in the paper. One of them...
Now they're only doing one, you said.
One of them is Cop Log.
Is that gone?
They have in a month. There's been no Cop Log. This is where phone calls come in to Greeley Police Dispatch.
Why don't you write a letter to the editor?
I'm going to. And I actually know I met the editor and begged him to hire me and begged him to use me for theater stuff. Do I hear from him? Does he call me? Does he come over for coffee cake? No, does not. Does not, son of a bitch. But anywho, notice how I even channel the rabbi sometimes when I'm just me. So, but I this very fun column that they do where they take the funniest, weirdest phone calls that come into the police department and collate them and publish them once a week in the Greeley newspaper. Well, they haven't done it in a month, which sucks. But there's another column by Mike Peters, our friend, who gathers stories that were in the Greeley newspapers 100 years ago, back in 1919. And he takes the funniest, weirdest, most nostalgic, interesting ones and publishes those once a week. And he's still, thank goodness, been doing that. So we have Greeley Old Times. We just don't have any Greeley Crimes. And we do have a very, very special Elsewhere to get to. So are you ready?
Could you move the recorder near me?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I had over there for the telephone. So, ready for our dog just woke up briefly. I think my excitement about this segment woke up, and now he's going back to sleep. Good boy. All right, here we go. Some Greeley Old Times. Earl Mendenhall.
Not Earl Mendenhall.
Earl of Eaton, Colorado.
Eaton.
Has now found a job in a motorcar garage. Ooh. Lucky man. He was in the Great War, where he was gassed, shot twice.
Wow.
His body and face scarred with pieces of exploding shells.
Yes.
A knife cut that required 13 stitches.
Ugh.
And one of his legs was nearly blown off.
Wow.
He has recovered enough to land that fine job.
Oh, that's great.
And by the way, Earl Mendenhall now answers to the name Lucky.
Let's see.
Don't they send you home after your first injury now?
I think no. They need you to be in there, so they fix you up and send you back out.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, if you were gassed in the war, I guess you're qualified to gas up cars.
That's weird.
Motor car garage. Oh!
What?
Oh, Fred, our friend from Friendy, thank you for saying that. Fred says that there is a cop log in today's issue of the Greeley Tribune. Well,
really?
Gosh. I'll look for, hopefully they'll post it online. Fred, have they been in the hard copy the last few weeks and just not online?
Maybe.
Well, oh gosh, I've got to look for it. But thank you, Fred, because
you have very astute listeners who search the interwebs and the papers for you.
Well, I feel like I'm missing a limb when I do this segment. It's a balance of the old and the new, and there's no new. Pisses me off.
One of your best friends is a librarian. She could have hooked you up with the paper.
Oh, the hard copy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, but what are they going to mail me the hard copy?
It's called the scanner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fred, you have a wife.
Yes, we have this modern thing called scanner.
And PDF.
Yeah.
If it's not online by Tuesday or Wednesday, Fred, it's just... oh, no, Fred says it's the first one in a long time. So they've just started doing it.
Ask him to save that paper in case...
Just in case, Fred, could you kindly save me cop log that we can do next week? Just say it. Just really appreciate it. I know it's a favor. I hate asking favors because then you owe people.
You know.
The number of times I had to go in high heels on the West Side Highway to pay back favors, I'm just got to tell you. Anywho, I don't even know what that means. Oil well diggers
Ooh.
in the Carr Wellington area hit water this week.
Well, isn't that a little bit backward?
Well, yeah. Workers said the water was flowing rapidly out of the pipes, and they later said that the water tasted like
Oil?
blank. No.
Candy?
Ooh, no.
Feces?
Closer.
Corn?
Corn.
Prairie dog poops?
Probably. Think of New Jersey.
Garbage?
Or even Coney Island-ish, getting towards it.
Dead gangster?
Light a match.
Oh, sulfur?
Sulfur.
Ew.
Why would water...
And why would you drink water from the ground that you didn't check out first?
I don't... Because it was 1919. What else are you going to drink?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it was either that or illegal whiskey.
Ooh.
Hey, did you know that that old Fred Jones...
Oh, no.
Fred Jones, our worthy postman, has purchased... This is the way they used to write back in the newspapers back then. Fred Jones, our worthy postman,
Yes.
has purchased an auto in which he delivers mail. Huh.
What?
This is the way they used to write newspaper stories back then.
Yes.
He delivers mail on weekdays and delivers the females on Sundays.
A little sexism, misogynistic joking's always.
I feel like Katie and well, that movie with Robert Mitchum. And,
oh yes.
it's like ha 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 ha. Yeah, even Raccoon is laughing. What was that called? Cape Fear. Cape Fear that they're remade.
You know, I don't know anything on that organized.
Speaking of fear.
Fear.
In Alt, we have a problem. Oh, as a matter of fact, wait, do we have? No, we don't.
What do you need?
Wait, is this a raccoon or a dog?
I'm going to say it's a raccoon.
I'm going to say, okay, so, well, there's a problem with dogs in Alt.
Oh, then it's a dog.
Okay, so woof, 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 woof. Strange-looking dog in a yellow outfit. The problem of dogs running loose without a license is a topic of controversy.
Wait, David, have the dog run. Okay, ready?
Ready? Oh, is there a fire hydrant?
Yeah,
Oh.
have him run.
Why is he being chased by an emu?
I don't know. That's probably part of it. It's a...
Oh, no. Yeah, this bit is for the children. Like, what? Aw, cute little emu person. Thank you. Will it stay? What? Why is the emu pooping on my head? There we go. I guess that's how you make emu oil. Thank you. Oh, thank you. There we go. So anyway, they got this problem with the dogs, right?
Yeah.
Dogs without a license.
You know that you should play Who Let the Dogs Out.
Woof, 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 woof. What did the town board say? The town board ordered that all dogs without licenses
be shot.
Yes.
Of course.
How did you guess that?
This is, you know, how it is. My friend, so I have a very dear friend who's like a brainiac, right?
Yeah.
Super, super brainiac. And she got an MPH in like somewhere in Virginia. And there was a neighbor dog that was barking. So you know what they did? They shot it. Not she did. Somebody else did. Yeah.
But is this rural?
And then, And then our friend, you know, my dear friend Nihal, they went to a place in a state that shall not be named. And the people collect guns. And the one lady, she was an old lady, older lady. She fed like skunks and cats, and the neighbors didn't like it. They start shooting them. Yeah, this is like how it is.
I know. It's just, I mean, even in Kill a Mockingbird, he shoots, but it's a mad dog. It's a foaming at the mouth mad dog.
I know. That's what they do.
Woo. I don't like that story. I don't like that story one bit.
I don't like it.
It's time for an advertisement, though.
Oh, good.
Well, no, I'm sorry. This is a story about advertisements. Advertisements in the East show that barbers are paid $25 a week.
Whoa.
Teachers are paid $70 per month.
Of course they are. Nobody values education.
So the Tribune said, or the Tribune Republicans said back then, why go to college to prepare for teaching when a barber makes more money? It was ever thus. It has not
you could be a
changed.
plumber, you could be... Well, but you know what? The life of the mind is a good mind to have. A good life to have.
But you know what? If you're a barber and you have the right kind of shop, you can talk philosophy, history, books, anything with your customers.
My acupuncturist back in Colorado, we talk interpret dreams. We have a very cerebral...
Yeah. So in some ways, a barber is more intellectual than most teachers. Maybe not the high-level masters,
but also, like, what
people.
barbers do is they could see if you have bad stuff growing on you somewhere, like they're looking at you.
Yeah,
you know, they see your face. They're taking care of your stuff. If they want to work in Sweeney Todd, they can also make human meat cakes, you know.
Oh, yeah. And if, depending on how they're combing the hair, every barber plays his part. That's a little. We'll just comb over that one.
You're so flaky.
Well, it's just my hirsute pursuit. Yeah. Anywho, more Greeley Crimes Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. Chief of Police Ben Florence said today that he will strictly enforce the no pigs in city limits law.
That's kind of a personal.
Well, I mean, I think he meant actual
pig, like swine.
Yeah, and owners will be shot. No, owners will be fined if they have pigs in the city.
What, because they have trichinosis or something?
Like, well, pigs seem dirty. I know they're not actually dirty, but they're like mud and
They also
slop.
make a lot of that sound.
Well, yeah, they're probably pretty annoying if they get rattled.
Wow.
Yeah, just saying.
Tough times.
Just saying. Keep your pigs leashed, ladies and gentlemen.
Leash your pig.
Cynthia is saying hasn't gotten much better. I think she's talking back about the barber and academia world. Oh, we know, Cynthia. Oh, we know.
Living the dream.
Oh! Chicken alerts! Chicken alert!
Hold on, I gotta put on her thing.
This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. We got. I can even play like the chicken alert music. Hold on. Here we are.
There ain't nobody here but us chicken. There ain't nobody here at all. So quiet yourself. Stop that fuss. There ain't nobody here but us. And kindly point that gun your way. And hobble off into the hay. Hey, boss man, what you say? It's easy picking. There ain't nobody here but us chicken.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there ain't nobody here but us chickens for a chicken alert on Dave's Gone By. We're doing, of course, Greeley Crimes Old Times. How do I turn this guitar thing off? There it goes. Oh, my goodness. Because, yes, they mentioned chickens back then. And we'll probably, I don't know if we'll have a hobo alert as well later on, but two neighbors in Greeley.
Oh, God, you want me to turn it off?
Is it still going?
Yeah.
Wow.
You just got to turn it.
He has the pox.
No, this is for the gerontology conference. It's going to be in Austin, Texas.
Oh, cool.
So they give us things to entice us to go.
Two neighbors in Greeley are not talking anymore.
Aww.
Because of
a chicken?
Loose chickens.
I told you. Those chickens.
It happens. One neighbor planted his garden, and the other neighbor's chickens got out of the yard and ate the seeds.
Whoa.
Both neighbors argued, and now they are not speaking anymore.
But doesn't that make sense to you? Like, if you take a whole week or a whole time gardening, and then somebody eats your gardening seeds, you'd be mad.
Oh, man, feathers are going to fly.
Yeah.
Although chickens don't. They don't, right? Chickens can't fly, really? They just go up on the ground a little bit?
When you throw them, they'll go in the air, but they're not going to
fly. But they're not going to stay there.
What was I going to do for you? I was going to get you water or something. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm great. Good cluck on that.
That's a funny one.
We're almost getting to the point where it's time for our elsewhere story, but I'm holding that in abeyance.
Is it scary?
It's fantastic. It's
we
wonderful.
haven't heard about any hobos in a while.
No, I'm looking for a hobo alert, and I'm not seeing any yet. Alas, maybe they will come. But we do have a Boy Scout who got angry and walked off the job cleaning the Scout headquarters. He's going to be court-martialed.
Whoa.
Well, I guess the Scouts have their own version of
own version of martial law, yeah.
He will appear before a court of other Scouts and may be fined, sentenced to hard labor or expulsion. What the hell was the point? Well, you were never a Girl Scout, right?
I was.
You were. You were. Did they have what? If somebody broke a bad scouting law, what would you do?
We beat them down.
Yeah.
We just get in a circle, all the girls. We get the Girl Scout cookies from a couple of years ago and start whacking them. Yeah.
Well, you can't. It's Passover, so you couldn't use a bar of soap.
No, we use the Girl Scout cookies, and then the leader would say now, and she'd count backward, and she'd say silver and gold, and we'd sing all the songs, the Girl Scout songs, but we'd beat the Girl Scouts into submission.
You wouldn't actually do that, would
you? Yeah, of course. You'd take your sash you had, and you'd use it as like a lasso.
No.
Those were good times.
No, but was there like a court? Was there like a kid
like a Girl Scout
smoking or something? Or
no, we didn't. Listen, my Girl Scout leader was Mrs. Figueroa. And all she wanted us to do was dance and sing. And it was a torture. So we'd always sing in the Christmas, Feliz Navidad, do, 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 do. And we don't have to dance and sing. And it was horrible. We had to learn all that.
How long were you a Scout?
Until you grow out of it.
Well, how
I was
many
a
years?
brownie. I was a little one, then Girl Scout.
Well, see, I'd rather have a blondie.
And I liked it because you could wear your Girl Scout uniform to school. You didn't have to wear your
Yeah, that way
uniform.
everybody looks the same. You fit in.
No, but you didn't have to wear your school uniform. You could wear your Girl Scout uniform.
Ooh, did you? And you wore,
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have your Scout uniform?
Mm-mm.
Why? Where'd it go?
I don't believe in material possession, so I don't keep
It's
it.
not a material. It's like a. Well, actually, it probably would be worth something if it's that old now. But you know, you can wear it tonight. We can have a little bit of.
That's sick. You're watching too much Rake.
I can be Smokey the Bear.
Too much Rake. Too much. You're watching Rake.
All right. Anywho, I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, Cleve. Okay, Cleve.
A man arrested for drunkenness told an unusual story to the police and the judge in court. He said he went to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and he asked a bartender for, quote, squirrel whiskey.
What the heck is that?
Bartender said they only had Old Crow. Oh, maybe he meant a brand thing.
Oh, yeah.
The man said he didn't want to fly, but only to jump around like a squirrel. By the time he got to Greeley, he was too drunk to either fly or jump around.
Oh.
So I guess maybe Old Crow is like really gets you hammered, whereas squirrel just maybe has a lower proof or something. I don't know. What do I know from squirrel whiskey? The ground was shaken, windows broken, and bricks fell from chimneys in the Windsor, Sealy Lake, and Eaton areas from a mysterious blast. No one knows what caused.
Did you have a Chipotle dinner?
Yeah, right. Wendy Williams broke wind or something. No, just kidding. No one knows what caused the blast late Saturday night, but it caused much damage to houses.
Wow.
Many believe it was
mining.
No, that'd be smart.
Oil?
It wasn't fracking back then. What would cause an enormous blast?
Somebody fell?
No. Well, something might have fallen.
Oh, a horse?
No.
A buggy? A building? Oh, the sky?
A meteor!
What?
People were blaming a falling meteor. See, you thought our stories had no heft to them. They just get meteor and meteor, ladies and gentlemen. They do indeed. Are you ready?
That was weekend late.
Yeah, sorry. Are you ready for us to go elsewhere? Because we do all these stories about Greeley, either New Times or 100 years ago.
Everybody hear about his chickens.
We do sometimes go far afield, elsewhere, away from Greeley, to tell an odd story from somewhere else. And this came out of Fox News, by the way. This is a real story from California. Are you ready for this, babe?
Yeah, I'm ready.
A California amputee was able to joke that he'd now lost 2 legs skydiving after authorities discovered the man's $15,000 I'm screwing this up.
Wait, take 2.
Yeah, California amputee joked that he now lost 2 legs skydiving when authorities discovered the man's $15,000 prosthetic limb, which had detached and tumbled to earth during an otherwise successful Sunday jump.
I don't think that's successful when your body parts fall off. I'm sorry.
Man, it's funny. Remember we were watching that show Rake, and then they were flying in the balloon and then dangling? Mm-hmm. Well, this guy, he did a jump. His name was Dion Calloway, who had his legs, a single leg amputated after a skydiving accident 2 years ago. He told the Press Democrat that once he'd landed after a 10,000-foot plunge, he spent hours searching for the prosthesis to no avail.
That just takes the buzz off. If you're so psyched about skydiving, then you have to spend 12 hours looking for your limb.
Crawling around.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
That's not a good time, Dina.
He says, quote, I jumped with prosthetic before, but a rush of air got inside this time and it just flew off.
Why didn't you just take it off, David? That's what
I don't know. Yeah, wouldn't it be easier to be up there floating around with one leg?
Maybe he only has to land. It's better.
Yeah. He risked life and fake limb.
Yeah, that's like that
Calloway,
just takes the buzz off, doesn't it?
He's like, I tried to watch where it was falling, but I was so overwhelmed in the moment I couldn't keep track.
If it was $15,000, I'd be crying.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why he's poking around looking for the leg. Micah Smith, the lumberyards.
They should GPS it or something like a chip.
I know. This was like 2 weeks ago. He could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
The Lumberjacks production manager told the newspaper that a worker spotted the prosthesis, but mistook it for a soda can. I know. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's troublesome.
Yeah.
No, that's a problem.
And he said, quote, "Oh,
That's not a soda can. That's a leg. Not the brightest people in California. I mean, they're doing a little too much of
He's
the...
like, soda can.
Smith recalled thinking when he took a closer look at the object, it was a nice-looking Nike shoe. Maybe the leg was only $1,000. It was a Nike shoe that's $14,000 on it. Well, that report brought out a deputy with the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office, and authorities then set out to find the owner, even posting a classified ad on social media, missing a leg. Calloway was reunited with his prosthetic leg on Monday and noted that it was, quote, in perfect shape, survived 10,000 feet. And how many toes?
Yeah, but that leg company should, market it that thing product is so strong it made it.
Yeah, except they want to really say that it fell off his body.
Yeah, but that could happen because of the thing, but it survived that fall. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it gets a leg up on the competition. Yeah. Get it? Ankle very much.
Don't be so corny.
I'm just being arch.
Don't be corny.
Hey, don't call me a heel.
You have no soul.
Oh. So, I have to look at my foot now for other parts of the thing. I can't do a metatarsal pun. What else is on there? I got a ball down there. Not going there. No, not going there. I got one more. Well, let's finish up Greeley Crimes Old Times for this Saturday, April 27th, 2019.
27th, yeah.
The 27th, thanks.
So show them my new thing. Look at my new...
Joyce got a new Fitbit band for her Fitbit. Who joined? Is it fitting well? Oh, Julie. Hello, Julie. See, you can go back and listen to her yourself later, Julie. Thanks for tuning in. And Diane from...
Tell Julie she was marvelous. It was a very nice interview.
You were fabulous. Rabbi Sol loves you. Everybody loves you.
She's so down to earth. It was refreshing.
It really was.
She's a very, very cool person.
And, of course, everybody can go see her this coming week, May 1st through the 4th.
They could have dinner at the place, or they could buy a CD, or they could bring it.
Get there 5 o'clock, buy a CD, buy some food, go see Julie Budd at 7 o'clock at night. Have a great time. Show probably lasts about 70, 75 minutes, as concerts do. And boom, you're back on the New York streets.
And she said she'll meet you, talk with people afterwards.
Yeah,
questions or answer.
She will go and bring hot plates and cook for you.
No,
she's not going to do that. No. All right, maybe she won't do that much. But anyway, let's finish off Greeley Crimes in Old Times. We were talking about Ben Florence, the police chief. He's had a great number of telephone calls. He gets them every day. Complaints range from people complaining about chickens on the street. Second chicken alert. Look at that. Wow. Those crazy chickens, man. They're just out of control. Oh, yeah, his face still actually shows up. Look, cool. Isn't that great? Also, people complain about neighbors.
David.
What? Neighbors fighting over an ash pit. Which,
look at him compared to you.
Is there really that much difference? Look. There we go. What else? Or a woman who reported her 8-year-old boy missing. The entire police force was sent out to look for the boy. After a long search, they found him where?
At home.
At home, His mother said he came home right after she called the chief, but she forgot to call him again and tell him that the kid was home. And these were the days before they bill you like $10,000 for doing that. Anyway, wow, another chicken alert snuck into that story. What a fabulous way
it didn't.
To finish up Greeley Crimes and Old Times on this Saturday on Dave's Gone By. Oh, I almost forgot to lead into the theme there. On Dave's Gone By!
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yippee-yi-yippee.
I'm trying to talk to my wife as all this is playing, because we've got some more stuff to do. But Joyce, if you want to go do and boogie out. But thank you so much for being part of the program. It's about 10 minutes to 11 in the morning. And oh man, we got so much more to do. We have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Do we want to save Potato Hotline maybe for next week, babe, or do I do a Potato Hotline? I think we got a lot to do on the show still.
You decide.
Okay. But while Joyce is doing something important for her body, how else am I going to put it? I want to remind you that we could not do this program. Well, we could, but it wouldn't be as good without the support of Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. Since the mid-1970s, the Toron family has owned and operated Minuteman, the franchise, right in the heart of Hewlett, New York. And I was using them before they became sponsors. I use them even when I'm in Colorado for copying work and printing up a journal that I work on. It's Minuteman Press of Hewlett, Long Island, right in the heart of Hewlett, across the street from the giant Petco. It's right near all the banks. It's 2.5 blocks from the LIRR station. Look at all the stuff they do. So we had Julie Budd on the program today. Let's see just the letter B of things that Hewlett Minuteman does. Badges, bags, balloons, banners, all sorts of bindery work. Birth announcements, blind embossing, which I would imagine is kind of dangerous. Booklets, bookmarks, brochures, bulletins, bumper stickers, business announcements, business card holders, as well as business cards and business forms and buttons. That is just the letter B on this list of everything Hewlett Minuteman can do for you or your business. You can get your basic black and white single-sided copy, double-sided color, special plasticky nice paper. You can have things bound, spiral bound, laminated, anything you need. Hewlett Minuteman Press can do it. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. Just give them a call, 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. They're open up until the summer. They're still open 5.5 days a week. They're open, I think, until noon today. But generally, it's 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings. And I do feel like king of the world when I do this programmio every Saturday on this Facebook channel, Dave's Gone By. Some people, you might... we changed the name of the page. It used to be Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And just this week I figured out, I can actually change it to Dave's Gone By. So I did. So that it's easier to find, I assume, just Googling for it. But if you go back to the old Radio Dave Lefkowitz page, obviously if you have friends or family who are doing that, that page no longer works or no longer exists. You got to go to Dave's Gone By on Facebook or the davesgoneby.com page for all the archives going back to October of 2002, when we did our very first show, 693 shows ago. Unbelievable, right? Anyway, let's see, it's almost 11. Why don't I just get to, let's shelve potato news, alas, for this week, because I've got so much to talk about in terms of Broadway. As a cultural program that I do, as well as a comedy show. I've been a theater critic, an actor, an award-winning playwright, woohoo, and just I've written about the theater for years and love it very, very much. And it's exciting for me and delightful for me to talk about Broadway and the theater and to give you theater news and sometimes review some shows as well. So every week we try and do a segment called Inside Broadway. And this is just, as fast as I can, because I know not everybody's as into theater as I am. I try and give you the lowdown of what's happening in New York theater. Well, this happens to be a pretty major week because this was the end, it's not really the end of the Broadway season. It goes on for another couple of weeks. But this was the deadline. This past Thursday, 2 days ago, was the deadline for shows that had to open on Broadway in order to be considered for the Tony Awards this coming June. So after this, everything that will open is already into quote-unquote next season. So yeah, big week, and that means producers were opening everything at the last minute. There's all sorts of Broadway news. It's going to be a monster edition of Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Inside Broadway we go every week here because, you can find out stuff about movies opening. Everybody's talking about, what is that new Marvel and Avengers thing that opened this weekend and whether it's going to be the biggest opening ever. I think already had the biggest preview period. And you get all the music stuff and the Grammy Awards and the other awards and TV. It's all there in front of you. Theater, you got to care about. You got to dip into a little bit. You got to go find it. I'm here to help you find it and tell you all the big theater news of the week. For example, there's going to be a revival of a play called Blue by Charles Randolph Wright. It opened off-Broadway back in 2001, and it was a hit about an upwardly mobile black family, which is going to be directed in its revival, and it's going to be on Broadway coming up in the spring of 2020, directed by Felicia Rashad, who, of course, played Mrs. Cosby on the upwardly mobile Cosby Show family. Wow, I should have phrased that differently. But, Felicia Rashad has directed a lot of August Wilson plays around the country. She's still acts, but she's now moved into the directing realm. She will be directing this comedy called Blue. And it's going to have additional music by Nona Hendrix. She was part of the band La Belle, the folks who gave us Lady Marmalade. Blue debuted back in 2000 at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. The Roundabout Theater produced it in 2001 off-Broadway. Blue will be hitting Broadway in spring 2020. So that was Broadway news about one show this particular week. And then, since this is really the end of the season, all the shows have had to have opened both on and off Broadway, you get the awards season happening as well. The Drama Desk and the Outer Critics Circle, which are, everybody knows about the Tony Awards. Drama Desk and the OCC both deal not only with Broadway, but off-Broadway as well. And they made their announcements of their nominations this week. For example, on Thursday, 2 days ago, the Drama Desk nominations were announced by Roma Torre and Frank Delela of New York One. Oklahoma, that revisal, it's not modernization, but really dark updating and stripped down updating of Oklahoma, leads the Drama Desk nominations with 12, more than any others. Musicals that are going to be up for Best Musical are Be More Chill, The Hello Girls, The Prom, Rags Parkland Sings the Songs of the Future, and Tootsie, the Broadway musical that just opened a couple of days ago. And that's the shoe that they were looking for on the foot of the amputee there.
That's chicken.
And just so you know, because of the way these weird things and award things work, Drama Desk has rules about if a show was considered off-Broadway a year or two before, you can't reconsider it if it moves to Broadway.
That doesn't seem fair.
Well, they want to give other shows a chance, and they figure, hey, we've already reviewed this. It's not changing drastically in moving from off-Broadway to Broadway. It's the same show, just on a bigger stage, and therefore, let's give some other shows a chance, which is why shows like Hadestown, Torch Song, and Choir Boy were not eligible for any awards, and that's why they're not mentioned in the nominations of the Drama Desk. The Drama Desk Awards will be held Sunday, June 2nd, a week before the Tonys, at Town Hall in Midtown Manhattan. Also, the Outer Critics Circle Awards. That's another organization, probably not quite as well known or respected as the Drama Desk, but they're still pretty up there. Those were announced this past Tuesday. And they, instead of for Oklahoma, they gave 12 nominations to Hadestown, the Broadway. Where's my folder? Oh, there it is. Because if there's time, and I'm not sure there will be, I wanted to review that for you guys today because I saw Hadestown about a week ago. So, but Hadestown has come away with the most Outer Critics Circle nominations, 12 of them. And then, let's see, also, where are they? Tootsie came second with 10 nominations from the OCC. So up for new Broadway play, these are the nominees for the Outer Critics Circle: The Ferryman, Inc., Network, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Heidi Schreck's What the Constitution Means to Me. In terms of the Broadway musicals that the OCC has put for its nominees: Be More Chill, Hadestown, Head Over Heels, The Prom, and Tootsie. And they do, and I'm pretty happy about this. They have, even though they skunked it every other which way, King Kong is going to get a special award from the Outer Critics Circle, a special achievement to all the people manipulating King Kong, the puppet masters, the people pulling the strings and doing the eyes and tugging it this way. What's dirty? What? Oh, well, yeah. I think the show deserves awards for projections and lighting and every other design element, but they're focusing it all on manipulating of the amazing puppet there. And also, I mean, we're so proud and excited to say this. Our friend of the Daverhood, Jim Morgan, the artistic director of York Theater off-Broadway, the York, is getting a special award for special achievement from the Outer Critics Circle. So yay! Yay to the York Theater and yay to James Morgan. Hooray for them. So that's, I write down when, I should have written down when the Outer Critics Circle Awards are going to be happening. They generally have them at Sardi's on an afternoon.
What is Outer Critics?
I'm a member of both the Drama Desk and the Outer Critics, so maybe I can even go to one or two of these award ceremonies. Now the Tonys, those are coming up also.
Award ceremony 2019.
Oh, Joyce is looking that up. When is it going to be? Is it showing? My wife is checking when the OCC is going to be and if it's going to be at Sardi's.
I'm looking. Hold on. I gotta read. I can't read. You can talk about it.
Yeah, I'll come back to it. Because I also want to tell you, one of the things that we like to do on Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By is let you know when a show opens on Broadway and then all the critics go to see it. What did they think? Well, we had like 4 shows opening on Broadway last week because it was the end of their consideration for this Broadway season. Among them, kind of a hotly anticipated, wild, zany, dark new comedy.
They said that it was done at the Algonquin is when they announced it.
They announced the nominations at the Algonquin, that's right.
It's going to be Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
May 23rd, 3 p.m. at Sardi's.
Thursday, May 23rd, 3 p.m., because I think the public can buy tickets to go see.
The winners will be announced Monday, May 12th, May 13th.
Yeah, the Outer Critics Circle for many years has decided to announce the winners first, instead of having people sit there all uncomfortable and then be like, the winner is, thank you,
That's all the different shows.
Yeah. They just say, hey, it's about celebration. It's not about a competition, really. So we'll announce the winners, and then hopefully everybody will show up, but especially the winners will show up and do a little, what do you call it, a speech and so forth. But anyway, I want to tell you about Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus, the Shakespeare play. This is a sicko comedy, apparently, I haven't seen it yet, by Taylor Mack, who is this, he's either, I think he's not a transgender, but a gender non-binary performer who's done a lot of stuff off-Broadway and off-Broadway, who now gets his Broadway shot. And he's looked at Titus, which just ends in bloodshed. It ends with hacked limbs and blood everywhere. Titus, a lot of people dying. Every Shakespeare tragedy, including the King Lear I saw this week. But he says, hey, who's got to clean up this mess? It's not like they have modern sanitation back then. This is ancient Rome. So who are the people? Who are the slaves? Who are the nobodies who have to go to all these bloody, hacked up bodies on the street and clean them up and burn the bodies and burn the clothing, etc.? That's what Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus, is about. Check out the people connected to this show. George C. Wolfe directing, music by Danny Elfman, and the cast includes Nathan Lane, Julie White, and Christine Nielsen. So this show, and it has not had the best preview period, because Andrea Martin, beloved Andrea Martin from Second City Television, she was supposed to be in it, but then she had an accident. I don't think it was on set. I think she had an accident somewhere and broke her ribs, had to leave the production. That's when Christine Nielsen came in, and then Julie White took over Nielsen's role, etc. Okay, now that it's opened, now that it's out there, this very unusual dark comedy for Broadway, what did the critics think? Writing for Deadline.com, Greg Evans said it's outrageous, hysterically funny, and connivingly moving new play. He likens it to another play that he loved by Taylor Mack called The 24-Hour History of Popular Music. Gary keeps an iconoclastic vision, a captivating balance of highbrow and low, but an undercurrent of compassion for a rarely deserving species. Writing for the Daily News, Chris Jones, one of our more brilliant theater critics, says Nathan Lane has formidable ferocity. He's spectacularly good here. Much of the play involves removing internal fluids inside the cavities of dead bodies in a humorous way. It certainly sounds like my kind of humor, I'll tell you. Still, it is a polarizing love it or hate it show. Well, that's for sure, because our friend of the Daverhood, Joe Demanowitz, hated it. He gave it 1 star out of 4, writing for the New York Post. Joe writes, it lets 3 of the funniest actors in the business, Nathan Lane, Christine Nielsen, Julie White, twist in the wind. George C. Wolfe cranks everything to 11, perhaps figuring if everybody says everything loudly, the audience won't notice that they're not saying much. But he says, no, we notice. Ugh. Also not liking the show so much, Barbara Schuler of Newsday. She says all the actors have funny moments, but it's 90 minutes of weirdness that isn't as funny as you want it to be. Marilyn Stasio of Variety called Gary low comedy and black comedy mixed with social criticism. There's no shortage of art and craft here, but Taylor Mack's jokes eventually start to feel lame and a bit cruel. So yeah, reviews all over the map for Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus. With comedies, it tends to be this way, especially if they take risks. There are people who just laugh out like crazy and love it and respect it and are excited by it, and other people who just sit there going, is this supposed to be funny? Why are the people around me laughing? And then other people who are like, oh, that's funny, that's pretty funny, but this is just going on too much. You probably have to see it yourself to make up your mind. Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus, which opened for a limited run this week at the Booth Theater on Broadway. Hey, speaking of Broadway, guess who's coming to Broadway for 2 nights? Only 2 nights.
You?
No, I wish. Mm-mm. But someone who certainly influenced me and my humor. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a hint. Oh, I want that money!
Gilbert Gottfried?
No, I do sound like Gilbert Gottfried when I do that. No, not Gilbert. Let me give you maybe another hint.
Oh, Jackie Mason.
No, that's from Blazing Saddles.
Oh, I know him, that guy.
That old guy, that 90-year-old guy.
No, Brooks. I don't know.
Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks is coming to Broadway. He did. It's actually on TV. You could probably find it on video or Netflix or something. Out in California a year or 2 or 3 ago, he did a one-man show, basically, excuse me.
Drink your water.
Yeah.
Have a drink of thing.
Basically tumbling with the audience, well, not so much with the audience, but telling about his life, doing a little song or 2 here and there, showing a film clip. Well, I assume that's pretty much what he's going to do when he comes to Broadway, happening at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater, June 17th and June 18th only. See, they've got this residency series that I've been talking about the past few weeks of artists who come to Broadway just in a concert form. You've got Morrissey coming, Regina Spektor, Yanni, Chris Angel, the Mind Freak is doing a thing. So they're doing for either a couple of days or a week, these people who come in for a few days on Broadway and do their thing. One of them now is going to be Mel Brooks. So how often are you going to get to see Mel Brooks live on stage talking about his life? You can do that at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater, June 17th and June 18th. I was talking about the Drama Desk Awards before and the Outer Critics Circle. Let's not forget the Tony Awards. How could we? They're going to be happening the Sunday after the Drama Desks, and they've announced they haven't announced the nominations yet, and they haven't, of course, announced the winners, except for special achievement categories. So these people, they're a lock. They've already won. These are folks who are getting special achievement Tony Awards on Sunday, I believe it's the 9th. And these are people that, well, you've certainly heard of 2 of them. Terrence McNally, the guy who wrote Masterclass, Love, Valor, Compassion, the off-Broadway show The Lisbon Traviata. He wrote the book for Kiss of the Spider-Woman, and for Anastasia, he's getting a special Tony Award for Lifetime Achievement. Certainly well-deserved. Also well-deserved, the wonderful actress Rosemary Harris. Her career goes back to 1965's The Lion in Winter, that she won a Tony for, and if you get to see, and I hope you do, the current My Fair Lady at Lincoln Center. She plays Higgins's mom. She is perfect. Yeah, she's on stage maybe 20, 25 minutes of the whole show. Every moment, perfect. It's a wonderful production. But Rosemary Harris, she's going to be getting a special Tony Award on Tony night, as is, and this is the guy that, I don't want to call him a third wheel. He's more of a third wheeler. Harold Wheeler, who is a composer and orchestrator and producer. He orchestrated the music for Hairspray. He also did the orchestrations for The Full Monty, Ain't Too Proud, the current Temptation show on Broadway, Lennon, a Broadway show that everybody else hated but me, Sideshow, Dreamgirls. I mean, his credits are just as long as your arm and longer. So congratulations to Harold Wheeler, who is also winning a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Tonys this year. Okay, just last night I went to see and I mentioned this before, the revival of Arthur Miller's All My Sons, starring Annette Bening and Tracy Letts at the Roundabout American Airlines Theater on 42nd Street. It opened this past Monday, and it's going to be running until the middle of June. Jack O'Brien directing the show. And you probably know the story. It's this seemingly idyllic suburban family. You know, you got the retired dad. Well, no, he's not retired yet. He's got the shop. He's got the business. He wants his son to go into the business. And everything's fine after the war. But during the war, when Dad was working in the shop making stuff, making munitions for the war and for the soldiers, he and his partner, well, they were called upon to maybe work a little bit too hard, a little bit too fast. And did they let some things slip? Well, his partner paid the price for it. He's in jail. But the father, he's exonerated. He's innocent. Or is he? Thereby hangs a tale. And then when the next door neighbor girl comes back to visit, perhaps to marry the father's son, everything starts to mushroom and fester and come out in the open. It's a classic play. You know, it's not considered up there with his next play, Death of a Salesman or The Crucible, but sort of like what happened when they revived A View from the Bridge a couple of years ago, and it rose in people's estimations. I think this production of All My Sons will notch that classic play up a little higher as well. I'm not going to review it now. I don't have time, but I big thumbs up from me. Just going to say, what did the other critics think of this revival of All My Sons? Helen Shaw, for Time Out New York, gave it 4 stars out of 5. Though some of the writing feels self-conscious and laborious, the series of emotional explosions and stunning climax rule the day. She, thumbs up from her. Thumbs up also from Greg Evans at Deadline.com. Jack O'Brien's knock-you-from-behind staging is as powerful and sturdy as Miller's post-war classic itself. Annette Bening is shattering as the grieving Gold Star mother. This is the definition of a well-made play. We see everything coming, but get run over just the same. I have to totally agree with that, with Greg Evans. Also, a positive review from Barbara Schuler. She says, Benjamin Walker as tortured son Chris commands the most attention. He's really good. This revival solidifies the play's relevance 70 years on. Did the New York Times like it? No. Our friend of the Daverhood, Jesse Green, is the only critic I could find who was not, if not blown away, was not impressed and moved and gripped by this All My Sons. He said the staging is just too straightforward and typical. The story is still relevant, but there's nothing new or now about this production. Because, okay, you're tackling war crimes, you're talking about business versus people. That's always going to be relevant no matter what. He's saying, though, that it's a standard, basic production of All My Sons, no more special than that. And if it's Broadway and current, it should be more special than that. I disagree. I having seen King Lear a couple of days earlier on Broadway with Glenda Jackson and what they did to that play, and then having seen All My Sons, to me, there is a very, there's something to be said for letting the play speak for itself, for putting it in its time, for doing it in a way that lets the playwright speak. And I am a playwright, so maybe I'm a little biased towards that more so than to the directing camp. But, to me, there's that difference of saying through King Lear is like, what, there's patches of really good stuff going on here, and other stuff are like, what are they doing? And this play's too long. Why can they cut? Why they this? Versus watching Arthur Miller just spool out, tell the story, let the actors act, let the characters come through, and by the end of it, you're like, whoa, I'm with you every step of the way. That's just me. And it's also some of these critics here, other than Jesse Green. For example, David Finkel of New York Stage Review, I think he's a friend of the Daverhood as well. Sorry for forgetting, David, if you are. But he gave it 5 stars, man. As close to perfect as it can be for any lover of Arthur Miller or lover of the potential of theater to get you where you live. And Roma Torrey on New York One, she said it's a shattering production, marking Annette Bening's bravura return to Broadway, terrifically realistic backyard set. Both Tracy Letts and Benjamin Walker are brilliant and masterful. So I'm leaning more towards the Roma Torrey camp and the David Finkel camp on this one than I am to Jesse Green, although a lot of times I agree with Jesse. But anyway, mostly terrific reviews for All My Sons on Broadway. It's a roundabout theater production at the American Airlines Theater now through mid-June. Tootsie, hello. Tootsie, your show. Yes, Tootsie. Based on that old Gary Marshall, Dustin Hoffman comedy, considered one of the modern classic comedies. I haven't seen it in 30 years. I really don't know how well it holds up, but I'll bet it still kind of does. It's all about this soap opera actor who can't get work because of his personality. He's a diva, or Devo, excuse me. And he, so what did he do? Almost as a lark, and this is pre-Mrs. Doubtfire, he dresses as a woman. What do you know? He gets a part.
David, why were you looking up Nietzsche?
Oh, I was because I was trying to fill out a puzzle that I had, and I was looking for the clue of this puzzle was Nietzschean Superman with a bunch of letters.
Was it Raskolnikov?
No, I was thinking, what person? Who was he talking about? Was it some world leader? Was it pre-Stalin? Who was he talking about? What I think they were looking for was simply the German, or Übermensch was the answer.
Oh, that's a dumb
So I cheated and I looked it up because I'm having no luck on this puzzle. But anywho,
you don't cheat.
But getting back to Inside Broadway, Tootsie, they've turned it into a musical. And it's co-written by our friend of the Daverhood, David Yazbek, who just had...
He's a hard-working man.
Well, and a very, very talented, brilliant...
Why don't you work with
him? I'd love to.
You could be like David and David.
Yeah, man. I mean, if he needs a book writer, I'm here. What, babe?
Idris Elba got married.
Oh, Joyce loves Idris Elba.
Oh, no, that's it.
She was, what was that show we were watching with him where he played that really hard-ass detective?
I don't know, it was lovely.
Yeah, but she likes
Sexiest
Idris.
Man Alive, British Vogue.
Wait. I am not the sexiest man alive?
No, that's what it says here. You're the sexiest man of my life.
Thank you, dear. I hope I'm the only man in your life. And well, I guess if I'm the only man in her life, I am the sexiest. But anywho, David Yazbek, who did The Band's Visit, who did The Full Monty, who did the very underrated Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. He did the score on this. Robert Horn did the book, adapting, of course, the Gary Marshall movie. Scott Ellis directing. In it are our friend of the neighborhood, Julie Halston, also Lily Cooper, the wonderful Michael McGrath, and playing the Michael Dorsey role, the lead character, Santino Fontana. You might remember him if you're a theater person from Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, and if you're a TV person, he's one of the guys on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So, how did the critics like Tootsie? Up and down. For example, Greg Evans of Deadline.com called the show a delight. He said, it plays so much better than you could have ever imagined. David Yazbek's score is a bit heavy on the mid-tempo numbers, but there's enough mixing around to keep things hopping, and Robert Horn's dialogue is loaded with singers. So, big positive from Deadline.com. Also, From the New York Post, Johnny Oleksinski, he liked it a lot, gave the show 3.5 out of 4 stars. It feels less like a snazzy new musical than a sitcom in its prime with killer jokes. Julie Halston is utterly perfect. Santino Fontana wows with his remarkable high singing voice. You will leave Tootsie laughing. So, good stuff there.
I need something after learning Idris Elba's married.
Chris Jones from the Daily News, not so much. He said, what, babe? What? Joyce is weeping over Idris Elba being taken off the market.
There's no weeping song.
Oh, well, I think Liev Schreiber's still available. You want
He
to go
married a Twinkie. He's out.
Well, they're divorced.
Too late. So
He
sad.
kicked what's her name to the curb.
Did not. She probably divorced him because he's too needy.
There you go. Okay, possibly. Chris Jones, writing from the Daily News, says there's much to like in Tootsie, and the laughs keep rolling. The kinetic score is also great fun. It's just hard to thread the needle of Michael and Dorothy having to apologize all the time and be punished for his ruse. I mean, we're in the Me Too era, so it's a little different from the way men and women, little different, mostly the same, of how men and women related back in the, I guess it was the early 80s when Tootsie first came out. The show wants to be both retro and deconstructing at the same time, and that's kind of hard to do. And some of the other Tootsie actually got mostly pretty good reviews. I'm sorry that I went mad
Who would be
on
a good
it.
Tootsie?
Who would be a good Tootsie?
Idris Elba.
No, I don't know if Idris Elba. I guess Idris Elba could do that role. I'm imagining it might be fun as the his agent, the role that Gary Marshall played.
It'd be cute if he was doing it in the class.
The one moment, the moment that I will always remember from Tootsie, from the movie, and I hope, well, no, I don't hope it's in the show. It's perfect in the movie. Is when Gary Marshall, playing the agent, turns to Michael Dorsey and says, "Look, I got you this job. You blew it. It was a TV commercial. You were going to be dressed up as a vegetable. I mean, it was like when Fruit of the Loom was doing underwear ads. So he had to dress up as a vegetable in the commercial." And I said, the Dustin Hoffman character says, "Well, what? I didn't know what my motivation was." And Gary Marshall's like, "You're a tomato. You're a big, juicy one." And Dorsey's like, "Well, what kind of tomato am I? I'm a juicy tomato. I'm a beefsteak tomato." And he's like, "You're a tomato." Just it was so perfectly delivered in that Jewish Gary Marshall yell. Anyway, that was from the original film in Tootsie. I don't know if it's in the musical. I'll go see it in a week or two, and I will report back to you if the tomato moment is still in Tootsie. But anyway, mostly quite positive reviews for Tootsie on Broadway at the Marquis Theater. And yet another show open on Broadway this past week. It's called Ink, and it's by English writer James Graham. And what a fabulous idea for a play. It is a biographical story of the rise of Rupert Murdoch in journalism, of Murdoch taking over The Sun, which was the stead paper, giving, what's the TV schedule for the day, and just revamping it with the page 3 girl and the sensationalism and the journalism that forces you to pick it up off the stands and plunk down back in the day. I don't know what, 5 pence for it, because you want to see that naked girl on the page, and you want to read this story and want to turn to that story and make it exciting and colorful, if not always completely ethical journalistically. And then, of course, the rise of what Rupert Murdoch ended up becoming and still is. Bertie Carvel, whom you remember from Matilda, the musical, and Johnny Lee Miller, who plays Sherlock on TV's Elementary. They star. Here's another. See, Johnny Lee Miller. There, he's on Broadway. There you go. That opened on Wednesday at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater. I guess it's a Manhattan Theater Club staging. So Bertie Carvel plays Rupert Murdoch. Johnny Lee Miller is kind of his partner in not crime, but in yellowish, off-yellow journalism, let's call it. Frank Rizzo from Variety said that he liked parts of it. He said the show is garish, lurid, and brash, just like what the Sun became. Yeah, what? I haven't seen it. I'm seeing it today.
Did Idris Elba like it?
I don't know if Idris Elba liked it. He probably would like Ink. At first, the David and Goliath story is fun to watch, but the show just becomes faster and louder, with vague or cliched supporting characters. It's a vibrant play, but an unsatisfying one, says Frank Rizzo of Variety. Greg Evans, writing for Deadline.com, has sort of the same feeling. He said it's a well-crafted show, and Johnny Lee Miller is ferocious in it, but Act 2 becomes a bit too black and white in its ominous toxicity. The play works best as an intellectual exercise, clever and smart, but short on emotion. Charles McNulty from the LA Times also kind of liked it, kind of not. He said it's a showcase for some thrillingly flamboyant acting, and director Rupert Gould treats the material as if at any moment he could transmogrify it into a musical, but the story stretches beyond our investment in it. Not liking the show, really not liking, I mean, not even giving it much, because these other critics, they seem to like the first act quite a bit, and then they're let down by Act 2. Robert Hoffler of The Wrap didn't like much of any of it. He said Gould's flashy musical comedy direction cannot disguise that Act 1 has no drama in it. A story does emerge in Act 2, but ultimately Ink is a puff piece. Barbara Schuler of Newsday called the show engrossing and fascinating. However, it's a darn good story with spot-on performances. The New York Post, also, Johnny Oleksinsky gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, saying the show is exciting and unexpectedly seductive. And of course, New York Post is, at least it was, I think it still is, owned by the Murdoch family. So, if it, I guess he had to thread the needle with his review there pretty carefully. So, very up and down reviews for Ink on Broadway. And yes, we do have one other Broadway show that opened this past week. I'm going to tell you what the critics thought of it, but not before reminding you that this segment, Inside Broadway, is sponsored by Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Since 1940, let me hold it over here, let me go over there. That'll work. Since 1944, the Insider has told people in the entertainment industry about every single show on, off, and off Broadway in incredibly complex and useful detail. This is a wonderful moment. I went to the theater last night, and I sat down next to this nice older woman, and she turns to me and says, "Are you David Lefkowitz?"
Oh my God.
I'm like, worrying. I know they check bags for weapons when you go into Broadway theaters, so I wasn't too worried. Then I said, yeah, because I didn't really recognize this person. And he says, well, I'm one of your subscribers.
Oh, that's so nice.
To Performing Arts Insider, which I co-publish.
Did you give her a big
I wanted to hug her because she was so complimentary about the magazine.
What did she say?
She's a critic. I won't. Her name starts with a D. I'm not going to give her name.
Just say like what she said.
Yeah, and she said that she finds it so incredibly useful all the time.
Did you know her?
Well, I know she's a subscriber. I know her name. I never met her. I didn't know what she looked like. Now I do. Very nice lady. And she was just going on and on, raving about the synopses, the one-sentence story, tells you what the show is about.
That's
comedy
your
or drama.
genius. That's your genius.
Well, she said that's really, really helpful to her.
Of course, you got to pick what you're going to see.
So all these shows that she wouldn't know about.
Just weave in like put in the word Idris Elba, put Idris Elba in some of them and see if people check it.
And well, if he ever does a Broadway show, I'm sure he will at some point.
Yes.
We will. But it was so great to hear from her, not just to fake be nice or say, oh yeah, I like your magazine, but to be very specific in saying, oh, and being able to know who the press agents are and find that information, and direct press agent phone numbers and emails, not just the name of the agency, but I call them, I know who to get to immediately or email them.
That's a time suck.
Yeah, it's a time suck out of my life that I've been doing for 12 years, but I do it.
But it's a labor of love. Labor of love,
and to hear from people who say, thank you.
You should have.
That's what she said. She said, thank you.
You should have autographed it.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah. I could give her, well, no, I would make her pay for another issue.
Oh, God.
I have to do this very close to the bone. I don't make a lot of money doing it, but I love doing it and have been doing it for many, many years. And by the way, speaking of which, the co-publisher of Performing Arts Insider is our friend in the Daverhood, Richmond Shepard, who had been a theater critic for many, many years.
I think he has a timeshare in the neighborhood.
he deserves one. He's been on the show many, many times. He just turned 90 years old this past week. So big Yom Huledet, happy birthday to our great friend Richmond Shepard.
Now do a mime version because he's a mime.
The lovely story about Richmond Shepard that I love to tell is that he always knew, quote unquote, when he was going to die. He always knew. When I knew him since his late 60s. We talk. He says it's going to happen when I'm 83 or 82 years old. It's going to be. It'll go this way, and I'm going to die. And then he hit that age, and he didn't die.
That's like the people that thought the world would end.
Yeah, and then he said, "No, I got another visitation because he's into some spirituality stuff." And then, now I'm going to die then. He's lived to 90 now.
He does the ganja.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him several months ago. He's in okay shape. It was great. He doesn't go to the theater as much anymore. I mean, he's got
Are we going to lunch now, right?
No, I don't know how we could.
Oh, no, we can't.
It'd be difficult.
Yeah.
We'll see how we do here. It's 11:30, by the way, in
What time am I walking?
the morning, Eastern. Well, to make the 12:30 is when we have to, just for me to get on a train. Okay, so happy birthday to Richmond Shepard, who edited this magazine for many years before I came onto it as co-publisher and editor-in-chief. But anyway, why should you get it? Well, just every single page is incredibly useful. You've got a whole list.
Where my cucumber went?
What? I can't. What? There's nothing I can reply to that won't get me thrown off Facebook.
Keep going.
Joyce asked me where her cucumber went.
What's that little picture on the bottom there?
What picture? This is a little map of the Broadway district. Lincoln Center isn't high enough up, but this is the main Midtown theaters. These are all the shows opening. This is when Broadway theater. These are all the theaters on Broadway, the shows that are in them, who owns them, how many seats, when things are opening and closing, and then of course the list of all the press agents handling the shows, the chronological listings of when every Broadway show starts, previews, opens, and closes, and then the same thing where every show off Broadway, and then the major listings, the calendar listings deeper in the magazine, where look at all that information about each and every show.
That's my cucumber.
It sure is. It's your Idris Elba. Your Idris Elba substitute, if you think about it. But anywho, and then we even brought back reviews, because I've been seeing more and more theater.
Do you want some
We have
nuts?
a page of reviews. No, not right now. I can't eat on the air. Insider on the Aisle. So my quick reviews of every show on Broadway that I've seen. So
Do you have the news, the gossipy one?
sometimes we even have that, of what shows are in the pipeline coming to Broadway or destined to come to Broadway in a year or two.
Picture to show you and you.
And then of course I'm on the back page there. That was my birthday picture.
Oh.
Eating Carvel ice cream cake with a couple of little potatoes attached to it. Don't ask. And here's how you subscribe. Look at that. Now, Performing Arts Insider is kind of expensive, but the people who subscribe renew year after year because they know it's the only place that they can get all that information in such a convenient hard copy way.
Like a mother bird, you pre-digest it.
Yeah, all these press releases come to our office, right? Dozens of them every week.
Millions.
Hundreds over the course of a month, honestly.
Millions.
We have to go through them and pick out all the important information on every single one, and they go into the 40 or 50 or 60 pages of Performing Arts Insider 21 times a year. So go to performingartsinsider.com to find out how you can subscribe, or just send away for a single issue, performingartsinsider.com. You can also pick up a single issue in Manhattan at Theater Circle. It is the Bible of Broadway. Well, let me oh God, because I do want to finish this show by noonish, so I can get out and go see some theater today. So here's let me get to the one other show that opened on Broadway that closed all the Broadway openings. What's the matter? You're schluffing.
Oh, life sucks.
Oh, yeah, don't need that. It opened on Thursday, April 25th, last show of the season at the Winter Garden Theater, Big Theater, on Broadway, directed by Alex Timbers and based on a Tim Burton film. What is it, babe? Do you know?
Oh, Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, the musical. So yes, they turned Tootsie into every movie that has a one-word title, is being turned into a musical now. So now they've got Beetlejuice, the musical, featuring Rob McClure, Sophia Ann Caruso. She plays Lydia, the Winona Ryder role, and Carrie Butler is in there. So here's the deal. What did the critics think of Beetlejuice? They were more, let me put it this way, they were a bit more positive about Tootsie than most of them were about Beetlejuice.
Why don't they like?
Most of them tended to find Beetlejuice too much of a muchness. Hyperactive, too much stuff going on, too much visual, and just not enough concentration on the basics of a musical that you could do in a room with just chairs and modular furniture and characters. This is reliant on something popping or whizzing or exploding or moving by and a joke flying every single minute, according to the critics.
That's like me when I get out of bed.
Joyce, so that's like her when she gets out of bed. So writing for for Deadline.com, Greg Evans really liked Alex Brightman, who plays the raspy-voiced Beetlejuice. He loved the set. Everybody's impressed by the set. Sophia Ann Caruso's deliriously gorgeous singing as the Lydia character. Now, Eddie Perfect, who did the score for the maligned King Kong, he did the score for this show too, and he's not getting a lot of credit for it. Greg Evans says that the samey musical score is pleasant enough, but things just get too frantic and repetitious in the second act. Frank Rizzo for Variety also has his problems with the show. He says, until it loses steam in Act 2, it's screamingly good fun. We get themes and characters to care about without losing the outrageousness or visual pizzazz. The jokes are crude but witty as well. Writing for Entertainment Weekly, kind of a good thumbs up, a B+ from Nick Romano. He's saying it's a serviceable musical, and the second act goes off the rails, however. But special mention of Leslie Kritzer. She plays the role that was played by Catherine O'Hara in the movie. Ben Brantley for the New York Times, not so much. He calls the musical absolutely exhausting. The dead lives of noisy desperation. This is how he referred to it. And Adam Feldman for Time Out New York, also not a fan. Whatever else the show is or isn't, it's spectacularly weird. The visuals can be great if only the rest weren't a busy mess. Show looks great, strong performances, but nothing quite fits together in Beetlejuice. So it sounds like make up your own mind. I on a Facebook page where someone just this morning was rabidly defending Beetlejuice and saying that the critics just don't know how to have fun. They expect every show to be Morning Becomes Electra or an O'Neill performance, and if it isn't, it fails by their lofty, ridiculous standards. And then a whole bunch of other critics chimed in and said, no, excuse us, we love musicals if they're good musicals. We understand that there's different genres. We're not stupid. So there's all that going back and forth. But anyway, those are the shows and musicals that opened this past week to end the Broadway season. But we're not quite finished with this Inside Broadway segment. We do have to say a farewell to former press agent and executive director of the Broadway League, Harvey Sabinson, who passed away on April 18th. The man we were talking about, Gold Star Mothers in All My Sons, he earned a Purple Heart in World War II. He handled 10 Neil Simon shows, as well as the original Hello Dolly, Gypsy, 1776, Finian's Rainbow, Oliver. His public relations firm handled Our Friend of the Daverhood, Carol Channing, as well as Barbara Streisand, to whom, by the way, we forgot to mention, Julie Budd is not related, even though they share similar looks. He handled the Beatles' American tour, and he won a 1995 Lifetime Achievement Award Tony. And Harvey Sabinson wrote a memoir called Darling, You Were Wonderful in 1977 about his years as a press agent, a book that I really, really want to read. So anyway, farewell to Harvey Sabinson, who passed away this past week. I will do this really, really quickly now, because, wow, we're coming up on 20 minutes to 12 already in the Daverhood on this Saturday, April 27th, 2019. But I did get to see, and I know I held up the playbill earlier, for Hadestown on Broadway at the Walter Kerr Theater, started about a week ago. It opened on April 17th. It's got a score by Anais Mitchell, who was not on my radar until I saw the show. She's put out these folky, jazzy, cross-bred, I guess might be the word, cross-genre albums that I really want to start listening to now. Rachel Chavkin, who directed Natasha and Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812, she is directing Hadestown on Broadway. It's a musical retelling of the Orpheus myth. That's exactly what it is. It's this young girl. She's starving. She has a tough life on the streets. She meets this moony, kind of dreamy poet guy named Orpheus, right? Falls in love. He falls in love with her, but she's also got one eye on feeding her belly. So she makes a deal, kind of, I guess you could say, with the devil, with Hades, who controls the underworld. Now, he's already married. He's already got a woman, and he was pretty fair about this. He told his wife, look, I know, we're in hell. You're living in the underworld with me. We love each other, cool, but I understand you need to get out of here. So half a year you can spend uptown, half a year I want you to spend in downtown, because I miss you when you're gone. But she spends more and more time up above the surface of the world, and he gets antsy about that. So he ends up making a deal with this young girl. He wants her down there, where basically he's working people to death. He's made them wage slaves. I guess you could say they're workmen, they're miners, they're the coal sort of people who work underground. They have nothing else to live there. They're basically there to work, live, eat, sleep, die, with no poetry, no music, no life in their souls. So what happens? Makes a deal, brings the girl down, because at least she's going to eat, right? And then Orpheus goes to find her and take her back and bring her back with him to the world. And there's a bit more to the story, but it's a pretty simple story to tell. And the show does take almost 2.5 hours to tell it, which is like almost every other show that you see nowadays. It's 15 to 20 minutes too long, I have to say that. But in terms of power, in terms of music that you actually enjoy listening to, where you don't sit through a musical going, okay, oh, here's where this character sings a song. That's kind of it. Let's get back to the story. No, in Hadestown, you want to hear most of these songs. It's one of the things where I would have come out and bought the CD outside in the concession stands after the show if it had been there, or the artists were signing it or something. I'm certainly going to listen to it and download it, because some of the songs, they were having me bouncing my seat and my leg jogging up and down while I was there in the theater. Okay, and some of the songs are just powerful within the context of the scene. Others are just musically interesting, even acontextual. And it's kind of, there's certain thematic things, and I've never heard the trombone used so prominently in a musical score, and it works like gangbusters in Hadestown. And I haven't even mentioned that Andre DeShields, our friend of the Daverhood, he was on the show a few months back. He has the narrator role. He doesn't play Hades. He doesn't play the bad guy. He's just like a very hip, suave, Vernell Bonnery kind of narrator. He's terrific. He's great. He carries us through the show. And he's sort of a through line that keeps us going. The other actors, they were perfectly good. I didn't like that much Reeve Carney's singing, if you remember him from Spider-Man. I found when he goes up on the high notes, it was a little bit like, he hits the notes, but it wasn't that pleasant for me, probably just a personal thing. He was fine. The actress Eva Novelzaga was fine as Eurydice. Story pulls you through. As I said, it's a little too thin for the length of the show. And I think the problem also with the leads of Carney and Novelzaga, I didn't get the passion, the heat of their love story. We're meant to feel like they're drawn together. Oh, thank you. When I get to take a break, I'll have that. Thank you so much. I know we're supposed to take it on faith that they fall in love at first sight. He falls in love with her at first sight. She sees that he has certain magical things with his music and his identity that are powerful. I just didn't get that, and I missed that, especially since it's about a love story. It's about love and trust between two young people. Missed that. Maybe if the show runs, and I certainly hope it does, they'll get cast members who have even more chemistry. But don't let these quibbles keep you from seeing Hadestown, which has small moments directed by Rachel Chavkin that make this feel like an epic. Even though it's not a huge cast, even though there's only one real set change back and forth. When they go down to hell, it's done with just some fog and some swinging lights back and forth. Really inventive, some terrific music, good story. Hadestown, big thumbs up here. It can be, at times, heavenly. And so let's hear just a little bit from the original cast recording. This is the first music that you hear in the show. When you first come out, when Andre DeShields and all the cast members just first come out on stage, this is the music that you hear. Tell me if this doesn't get you moving immediately. Yeah, man. I mean, right, 30 seconds of that song. Doesn't that get you, doesn't get your booty moving in the seat, as it were? That, not, by the way, Andre DeShields, because that cast recording was done, I think, when the show was off Broadway. I think they're going to be doing a new one now that it's playing at the Walter Kerr Theater. But my gosh, thumbs up. I would give it 3.5 out of, strong 3.25, soft 3.5 stars for Hadestown. Do go see it at the Walter Kerr Theater. And my friends, I told you it would be a long one. That's what she said. But lots to talk about every week inside Broadway. Well, you're watching the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. And thank you, by the way, to all these people tuning in. Julie and Wayne and Michael and Peter and Piero. Oh my God, Piero, my old friend. And so many folks who've tuned in over the past 2 hours and 45 minutes. We have a bit more to do of the program before we let you go for this week. But first, let's talk about our friends. Now, friends of the Daverhood are folks who have appeared on the program over our past 16 and a half years. So, we're very proud of, whether they're famous or not, although a lot of them are famous, we're proud of the guests that we're able to get on the show, and proud of them, because usually they're in a show, they're recording an album, they've written a book, and then months and years pass, and they do other stuff. And we like to, since they're our friends now, we let you know what they're up to. For example, want to let you know that Stevie GB, the comedian, is part of a 50-plus comedy tour that is happening tonight at the Studio Theater in Lindenhurst on Wellwood Avenue, right here on Long Island. Go see Stevie GB. On Monday, we were just talking about the Roundabout Theater. They're having their one-night revival reading of On the 20th Century. It co-stars Julie Holston. Keep talking about her today. She was in the 2004 staging of that comedy with Alec Baldwin, Anne Heche, Dan Butler, and Stephen DeRosa. They're all taking part in this one-night benefit reading for the Roundabout. It's at Studio 54, and you can get tickets at roundabouttheater.org. Want to let you know that starting on April 30th and playing through mid-May, our friend Wilson Germain Heredia is in a play called Original Sound, and that is at the Cherry Lane Theater on Commerce Street in Manhattan. Certainly got to remind you that Julie Budd is going to be at Birdland May 1st through the 4th doing the Songs of My Life. And those songs are written by people like Julie Stein and Cy Coleman and Burt Bacharach, also Neil Sedaka and Barry Manilow and Laura Nero. Julie Budd at Birdland May 1st through the 4th. May 2nd and May 4th, our friend Jane Siberry. Very different kind of music there, but you can see her at Joe's Pub on Lafayette Street this Thursday and then into Saturday. Want to let you know that on Thursday also at the New York Public Library at Lincoln Center up on 65th Street, they're doing a concert reading of Rothschild and Sons featuring our friend Robert Cuccioli. Not only that, the co-writer of that musical, which adapts the Rothschilds musical. It's co-written by Sheldon Harnick. He will be there. He's like 91, 92 years old now, and he's going to be giving the Jerry Bach family an award after the reading of that musical. So that's all happening Thursday at the Lincoln Center branch of the New York Public Library. On May 3rd, Dakin Matthews is taking part in a Red Bull Theater staging of Shrew at the Lucille Lortel Theater. And by the way, you can see Dakin Matthews on Broadway in To Kill a Mockingbird. He plays the judge. Danny Burston is still playing Alfie Doolittle in My Fair Lady at the Vivian Beaumont Theater, but he's only doing it 3 more times. Today matinee, tonight, and then tomorrow. And then he leaves the role. So go see him as Alfie in My Fair Lady on Broadway. Ethan McSweeney is directing a play called All Our Children at the Sheen Center on Bleecker Street, playing through early May. If you happen to be in Florida, as well you should be because it's Passover, Avi Hoffman is coordinating Yiddishkeit at the Betsy, which is a bunch of Jewish and Yiddish-related play readings and panels and seminars. Yiddishkeit at the Betsy, happening through mid-May. On Broadway, Beautiful, the Carole King musical, features a book by our friend Douglas McGrath, Come From Away, that wonderful show that is co-written by Irene Sankoff and David Hein, our friends. That's at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater. We were talking about Tootsie before. Julie Halston's in it. David Yazbek co-wrote it. Hamilton features Daniel Breaker playing Aaron Burr on Broadway at the Richard Rodgers Theater. And then, let's see, we keep talking about Birdland because Julie Budd's going to be there this week. But Monday nights at Birdland, Jim Caruso does his cast party. Also, want to let you know that Evan Seplow is the editor of the wonderful website StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake, they co-host a theater review show called Two on the Aisle on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You can also see those episodes on YouTube. It's Two on the Aisle. And Eva Heinemann hosts the theater review show High Drama. She has a Facebook page. You can find it there as well. And finally, Bob Cudmore doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the friends of the Daverhood, they're here. Always thrilled to have the folks who are either watching the show, because you're our friends too, and our family, and the people who take part in the program as well. Well, someone who has taken part in the show today already, Rabbi Sol Solomon, who was talking to Julie Budd earlier in the program. Well, Rabbi is still here because he has been kind enough to do our StoryTime segment last week, because it's Passover, right? This is the last day. Tonight ends Passover, finally. So Rabbi decided to do our story time for us for a special holiday-related book by a guy named Rabbi Avraham Blumenkrantz that he put out back in 2006, all the rules and laws of the Passover holiday in this slim little volume. So we're just going to dip into it with the rabbi. He's right here. I'm going to go get him. Rabbi, come on over, because, you know, it is story time, and we do want to hear from you again to talk about the laws and the rules of Passover, because I know you know all of them, but it's good to have them on paper. So, Rabbi, if you will join us once again, please, the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol. Oh, shalom again, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon. It's time for story time. Okay. So nobody said being Jewish was easy, right? But couldn't we make it any harder on ourselves? People always want to know, we're people of the book. We are people of books like this 800-page tome, heavier probably than the 2 actual tablets of the 10 Commandments. These are the laws of Pesach, a digest, as it were, an indigestible digest by Rabbi Avram Blumenkrantz, and this is the 2006 edition. So everything I'm about to tell you may not even be feasible and doable anymore, but we're going to go through it. We did a little bit of this last week, just the insane ideas of everything. See, what's beautiful about it is there's an answer for everything. You can think, if I'm eating a pecan, right? And here's a question about, so I'm eating these little Passover nuts here, these pecans. Answer to the question, what can turn a toilet's water yellow? Pecan. Are pecans kosher? Somewhere in here, I hope there's an index. I hope there's a freaking index. Let's take a look. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Pecans. Hold on. Hang with me, if you will. Unless it's cross-listed on the nuts. Pecans, page 379. Are they among the nuts that you're allowed to have? Because you're not allowed to have peanuts for some insane reason. 379, did they die? Oh, for crying out loud. Here we go. Pecans, both the midget version and the pecan pieces, these are soaked in an alcohol bath to remove insects. These pieces should not be used in Pesach. However, whole and half pecans can be kosher to Pesach. So essentially, if you have the little baby midget tiny pecans, you cannot eat those on Passover. You can have the regular pecans, the full-sized ones on Passover. These are the kinds of questions that are answered over and over and over and over again in this book. For example, potassium sorbate. Everybody likes a nice big glass of potassium sorbate on the holidays. Can you have it on Passover? The answer is, in Japan and China, potassium sorbate can be made using grains derived from alcohol. So in the America, it is usually derived from kitnios. There's pronounce that right, which means that no, you're going to avoid potassium sorbate on Passover. So I'm sorry for those of you who need your little potassium sorbate fix. You're just going to have to wait a few more hours before you can have it again. Let's see what else we can find in this book about every single aspect of Passover. How about a custom-made suit? Can you buy and wear a custom-made suit on the Pesach holiday? None of the aforementioned paragraphs are applicable to custom-made suits. These suits are a world unto their own. The traditions of private tailors are many, and there is no telling what an individual tailor may add or delete in order to satisfy his client. For this reason, my custom or any custom-made suit must be thoroughly tested, including a vest and pants. So even though if you're not eating anything, even if you're on a desert island, you got nothing else to eat but your suit, you'll eat your suit. Or if there's someone else on the desert island with you, and you don't want to eat them yet, so you can eat their suit first and then start on them if you don't get a rescuer. But not on Passover. You got to be very careful whom you buy a suit from on Passover if you're going to wear it. Unbelievable. Let's try, how about, baking soda, bicarbonate of soda. Can you have it on Passover? The answer is yes, any brand. It's all good. Bicarb is fine. Buttermilk, what about buttermilk? Butter should be good. Milk should be good. Buttermilk requires Pesach certification, however. Furthermore, unlike commonly held views, all cultured buttermilk needs kosher supervision all year long. Cultured buttermilk may contain gelatin and other non-kosher ingredients. So you gotta be careful about. What about furniture polish? Does furniture polish need to be kosher per Passover? So let's say there's some alcohol in it, you're Betty Ford, you're a little desperate. Can you have a good chug-a-lug of furniture polish on Pesach? The answer is, the ones that you can use include Behold, Clean and Shine, Duster Plus, and Dust Favor, Hawes, Jubilee Kitchen Wax, Jubilee Paste Wax, Clean Guard, Murphy's Oil Soap, Liquid and Spray, Old English Furniture Polish, Pledge, and Old English Scratch Saver. So yes, at the very least, these furniture polish-i are perfectly good for the Pesach holiday. Can you see why Jews drive themselves Mashiach? Hold on one moment, please. May I help you?
You're blurry.
I'm blurry. Oh, I think I spit on the lens.
It's
That's
very
bad.
blurry. Yeah, it's like I can't see.
My expectorant phlegm from the holiday
Wait here.
has been. I think it's better now. Thank you ever so much. Oh, it's either that or I'm physically blurry, like in that Woody Allen movie.
I hope you're not blurry. I'm cooking your food, Taki.
Well, now let's see. Let's do a little bit more. It's, by the way, it's noontime, Eastern time, here in what we call the Daverhood, the kosher Pesach Daverhood, with me, Rabbi Sol Solomon, finishing up story time with our wonderful, delightful story, The Laws of Pesach of 5766, the year 5766. Let's talk about, I don't want to talk about fabric. Who the hell wants to talk about fabric? What about the following, just so you know, for all the alcoholics out there, the following whiskeys and liqueurs are not recommended. Not recommended for Passover. They are, I've never heard of this, Aberlour, Evan Williams, Lost Horizon, all flavored rum, Macallan, Bailey's Irish Cream is a no-no apparently, Black Bush, not going to go there, Glenmorgan, Sambuca is not good, Slow Gin, so that's fizzling out right there. The Kuiper Liquors and Brandeis. Brandeis is, oh no, it's just Brandy's. I read that with my Jew glasses on. Sorry. What else we got here? Hiram Walker Liquors, Southern Comfort. No. Let's go backwards in the book a little bit for a little bit more of, here, one last piece. For those who cannot swallow liquids, Jewish women on their honeymoons, those who cannot swallow liquids, for those needing to thicken liquids for drinking, one should try to use kosher LePesach tapioca or kosher LePesach unflavored Jello powder. If these are not practical, one may use a product called Thick It, which has an has an OU symbol, even though it's not prepared specifically for Pesach, and it does contain kitnios, stuff that is non-Pesach. The enzyme may be questionable, but since it is not a davar hamid, it becomes nullified. I'm sure you all knew that, but there is an herbal thickener in the health food store with the name Kuzu. That has an OU. Oh my God! Thank you. I'm very juicy today. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. She's my fluffer, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. I could make another swallowing joke, but I won't. There you go. I've lost my place now. Where the hell am I? Oh, well, it's gone. It's gone. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Passover is almost gone. A couple more hours. But if you can get yourself a copy of this delightful fireside book, The Laws of Pesach, a digest by Rabbi Avraham Blumenkrantz. He didn't do a 2007 one, or a 2008 one, or a 2009 one, or a 10. He died. He essentially died a year after he wrote this book. So this is the last one that you can get. Grab it, get a hold of it, enjoy it. Hours of storytime fun. Thank you so much to of blessed memory, Rabbi Blumenkrantz. This is Rabbi Sol Solomon of Blessed Currency, because I'm still thank God alive, returning you to the Dave Gone By Facebookio Programmio of the stream here in the Daverhood. Just hang up. And here we go. Story time it has been here on Dave's Gone By. I want to thank so much to Rabbi Sol Solomon for taking part in that as well. A part of me, a really sadistic part of me, wants to just go page by page from that entire book all year long, kind of like the Torah, and then start it up over and over again. But I'm not going to do that to you folks. You guys are too cool just tuning in here every Saturday morning for this show. By the way, welcome to Michael and Peter and Piero and Randy and all the folks who've tuned in. Are we done yet? Almost. But as promised, we do have one more quick segment for you. And how could we not do this? How could we not have our Colorado Limerick of the damned?
You're the poetry man. A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Colorado.
Yes, our Colorado Limerick of the damned, ladies and gentlemen, here on Dave's Gone By. So, as I'm sure you know at this point, I've been doing, or I was doing, this show from northern Colorado for the past few years, and we'll most likely be doing it again from northern Colorado. So, I really love Colorado. I like living there, and there's a lot of places in it. And for no particular reason, at a certain point, I started writing these little 5-line short poems, each one about a different town or city or centrality in Colorado. And since they're limericks, they can tend to be a little bit perverse and a little bit joke-oriented and naughty. So you might want to scooch the children out of the room for just a moment or two. And what's kind of cool, though, is every week I also can bring to like a different place in Colorado. And today we go to Hotchkiss. And if you've ever had your Hotchkiss, you know how pleasurable that can be. But Hotchkiss, Colorado, ladies and gentlemen, it's a small little place named after a pioneer named Amos Hotchkiss. And if you remember Hotchkiss Uranus, just out now. Anyway, the town of 1,000 people, so it's still pretty small. It's been around since the 1880s. Their motto, the friendliest town around. Isn't that cool? Friendliest town around, Hotchkiss, Colorado. It's southwest of Denver. The whole thing is less than a square mile. It's a quiet mountain town with sheep ranching. It has an annual fair and rodeo. And, of course, it has the Hotchkiss National Fish Hatchery. And so, in honor of that, I've written a poem for Hotchkiss, Colorado, as our Colorado Limerick of the damned for Hotchkiss. They arrested a fellow from Hotchkiss, 'cause there was a girl he would watch piss. He thought he was flirting that time she was squirting, and he pulled her down for a crotch kiss. Yes, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, ladies and gentlemen. We do this every week, like it or not, just because. So every aspect of this program is just because. And this program is the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the Stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. I want to thank, of course, my darling and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce, for joining me during the first part of the program and helping me out during other parts as well. Love you so much, and happy Pesach to you, and happy Easter. We got to spend Easter time with her family, with my in-laws, so love to them as well. Happy Passover to my parents. Also, and then boy, I think Mom is so relieved that the holiday is going to be over in just a couple of hours, and we can just bring all the crap downstairs and not worry about it for another year. But also want to thank most of all for this week our special guest of the Daverhood, Julie Budd. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful interviewee that she is, and seems like a really wonderful person too. Thank her so much. Go see her. Go see her at Birdland in Manhattan. She's appearing there May 1st through the 4th, The Songs of My Life, Julie Budd. And don't forget, on May 14th, Richard Skipper, who helped set up the interview for us this week, Richard Skipper will be interviewing her. She'll be singing a bit and showing film clips of her life. That is happening at the Friars Club in Manhattan on May 14th. Big, big thank you to both Richard and to Julie for their help in the Daverhood. Thank you so much to Rabbi Sol Solomon, the profoundly Jewish and strange Rabbi Sol. Good Lord. Find out more about him at his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. That is the place to read all his mini sermons, his rabbinical reflections. It's also the place to watch his TV show, which we're trying to get back on New York Public Access in a couple of weeks. We'll see if we can get that on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. I'll let you know when that appears. But you can watch it right now. It's on YouTube. You can watch it at his website, shalomdammit.com. And you can even see his stage show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Sol Solomon. All of that at shalomdammit.com. And thank you, of course, all of you, for your messages, for your thumbs up. Thanks to so many people who gave likes and thumbs up to the postings that we did during the week, letting you know what's going to be on the show today. It's really great to have that connection with the friends on Facebook and the viewers. And remember, if you have people who don't have Facebook, and there are people out there who don't, send them to the website, davesgoneby.com, because we save the episodes, the archives are there, all the interviews are there, the comedy skits we've done, davesgoneby.com. Well, 10 minutes after 12 have already gone by, so we are way, way over time. It is time to end this 694th episode of the show. We expect we will be back a week from today, next Saturday, with a brand new episode of this fantastic radio, well, not really radio forge anymore. It's a Facebookio, Programmio, Podcastio of the stream. We're going to go out, of course, with a bit more of Julie Budd. Let's make sure there isn't a commercial stopping it beforehand. Oh, no, good. We can go right into it. Julie Budd from Gosh. This looks like real 1960s, 1970s TV. Playing this off YouTube. From the Barbara McNair show of 1970, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, and Gone By.
Chasing rainbows, watching clouds drifting by. My schemes are just like all my dreams, ending in.
Well, yes, gotta end this episode of the Dave's Gone By show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope to see you next week. Have a happy end of the holiday. Happy May. Man, weather's gonna get there. It's getting there. I promise, once all the rain stops. See you in a week, and gone by.